is actually structured. So how is that DBA structured? The reason why Florida can do the things that they're doing, because the structure and people are actually saturated, who have a vested self-interest in their population thriving, and their influence in government, as far as governors, senators, whatever, comptrollers, they're able to be in the positions that actually matter to control the state. So that's important.
Yes. You guys, and I didn't realize how Florida was tripping with the Disney situation. I mean, they basically came out and said, we're not going to let Disney run our state anymore. And I was all, what the flow?
Yeah, Disney had their own, and this is what money does. But this is also what knowledge does too. When you are in a position of power with money, is that you get people involved to help you get inside, and they can tell you how to develop your own state government or representation that looks out for you, that will write bills to essentially develop a small entity around you. And that's what Disney did. And, DeSantis is some trash, so he just is exposing everything. So, again, I just look at it as follow the white money, but pay attention to the immigrants who will try to destroy and rebuild for themselves. And that's pretty much what Ron DeSantis is doing.
So I want to follow up to say this. As a black majority state, there is very little we will need from the federal government. Very little. They have a budget. They do budget appropriations for roads, bridges, tunnels, and all the other types of infrastructure. They have military bases, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But there's very little outside of what they already provide historically to a state that we will need. We will no longer be in a situation where we are looking for some government entity to come down from above and figure things out. We'll just be figuring things out for ourselves. I think it's just, and I've said this multiple times, but it's a different relationship. I really, really, really am glad that people are starting to understand it. I was trying to listen to the California Reparations Task Force. I think I know what you're talking about. It was a white guy who talked a little bit later towards the end. I think that's who you're talking about. I was on like multiple different phone calls, so I didn't get to really listen in. I do know that they're creating this agency, and if they like it, I love it. I just would be very, very specific on one, how it's funded, what it's attached to. I think we've had people in our spaces talking about attaching certain things to certain things because those things have a level of permanency versus something that can be defunded or reappropriated or removed in some future way. So I really hope that they do that level of homework, because I think that's going to make the difference between something that lasts for a temporary season versus something that has a level of permanence. I would really, 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 I know they reach out to a lot of experts and scholars. I think those are the people that they probably need to talk to next. How do we make this a permanent thing within California state law and figure that part out? But yeah, again, if they like it, I love it. I thought reparations was going to be direct cash payments, that there really wouldn't be a need for bureaucracies, that we would just get the money directly out to the people. But I see that things have shifted.
And that's still a part of it. They were talking about that today. Matter of fact, they were talking about how to set up what the agency would be doing, and that was the discussion today. So the direct cash payments is separate from setting up this agency in regards to programs that would actually do the work of atonement for the descendants in California, which makes sense. And then the direct cash payments or the discussion upon reparations, the money that would come from either the state or wherever it's going to come from. I'm assuming it's going to be coming from the state. That's the portion of it that was a separate discussion in regards to setting up the agency. They just wanted to know would the money for direct cash payments come through this agency versus coming from some state level
right.
I guess fiscal government, or people relying on the state to actually send it directly, or will it come from through the agency, which I think Marcel did talk about that too, and we talked about that on the campaign when we were developing the comprehensive plan for South Carolina. So that kind of makes sense, but everything is going to be a discussion. And I don't know, there's no way to get around that when I think doing this, and it would have to be done in every state. And then people have to realize state taxes is not going to pay the actual amount for reparations. It has to come from the Federal Reserve. So
one love. Has anybody put on the table or thought about because there are like two known black banks. I think there's one here on my coast, and I think Chris, who's over the reparations. I forget his last name. I don't want to do a disservice and just say his name, but I think Chris.
About Chris Lodging.
I think so. I think he mentioned a black-owned bank. Has anybody thought about incorporating them in the distribution hub to go through? You know what I mean?
I don't know. That's the first time I haven't had that conversation with Chris, but that'll be interesting. Probably going to one of the meetings.
That wouldn't work because usually the black-owned banks,
even as an overseer, if we're trying to get everybody's hands out of our pockets, once the money is, because they gonna pay us our money. I'm just saying, but once it is allocated, if there's trepidation for people to say, I ain't tripping with no white people, even if it's coming anywhere near it, would they have some type of input in it? That's what I meant. I'm not saying give it to them and then they allocate it. That's not what I was saying. I hope I didn't get that out there like that.
Right.
I mean, I would want to have my own. I would love to have banks that we actually own. The FDIC is actually who, they're the ones who actually regulate the banks. People always say, "Oh, it's a federal." Well, they're an agency, just like the IRS is an agency that's not tied directly to the federal government. They just do work as a separate entity.
But if they're already in existence, they're already in play, and because the FDIC, it's the insurance aspect of it,
right?
Otherwise, it's a credit union, if whatever. Right. But so I was just wondering, because they are up and running, you know what I'm saying? That would be some type of conversation. I don't know what they would be used for, how they would come into the conversation, but if they're already up, you know what I'm saying? I was just thinking out loud. That's all.
I appreciate your thought.
Hey, Rella, when they distributed that COVID-19, we call that check back in 2020.
The COVID-19 funds?
That glitchy.
Yeah, when they distributed money to the 100 million people around the United States.
Stop tripping,
they did that through the IRS, correct?
Was that the IRS that sent those checks?
Because they used they attached it to your return.
Your return, that's right.
Because they knew who was supposed to be getting it. Yeah, that's how they went through it. Yeah.
So then that would mean that would mean that they actually could pull our social security number. But if our social security number is designated to federal government, meaning that we are essentially we're essentially assets of the United States. That's what the social security number is. So then that would mean we would need a separate number for descendants that is outside of our social security number. And I would rather use our birth certificates or something like that versus the social security number, because the social security number to me is like the government's EIN for them to make money.
And someone else said that it could, for that type of, well, I guess anything nowadays, it can be, tampered with. But somebody, I can't remember who it was. I don't think it was Professor, maybe, or original. I don't know. It was a male's voice. But they were saying how we would definitely have to be allocated a different number. We would have to be given some type of number. I can't remember what it was, but that makes sense.
I remember us having that discussion, and I think we were even we have had that discussion again. It's echoing in here. Hold on, I had to throw something away. My puppy likes to poop. I can take her outside, but anyhow, I think that that's probably where the agency being developed would come in. And so if we had a specific number in the agency where it actually is separate from the government, so now again, it's a business. We are under our own business entity, and we have a separate number, which I would probably need to look into doing some research to see how Holocaust survivors are actually getting their checks. So I'm wondering if that's, and even the Indian Bureau of Affairs, and how they're allocating money to their people if they have a separate number. That kind of makes sense.
Yeah, no, the only thing I like about the Social Security number is that if anyone tried to tamper with that number or use it, try to abuse that number, they can go to federal prison. I mean, that's a federal offense to abuse the Social Security number, the fraud or whatever. So that's the only thing I like about the Social Security number. It has. I mean, if you try to use it fraudulently, there's some consequences behind it.
I'm just playing devil's advocate because that's just how I am. So we're just gonna go. We're just gonna go tell on the people that did it to us, because if they try to take our money, we're just gonna let them know. Somebody took our money. Right. I'm just paranoid. I'm just
yeah. Well, the IRS, they would know, like, when they see something that doesn't look right in a Social Security number, if all the papers, all the the checks don't look right, they're going to say, hey, this is not right. This money is going to the wrong people, to the wrong person. That's just, that's just my accounting background. They're pretty tough on people, paying their taxes.
So I'm on the justice.gov, United States Department of Justice, Foreign Claims Settlement Commission of the U.S., and it has Guam claim status. Last time it was updated was last year, March 18th, 2022. So they have their claim numbers as Guam-0001. And then the numbers just go up, and you see the different amounts that were awarded to the individual claimants. I don't know how far this number goes up, but it goes up pretty high. And then there's some A's and B's, which may be children, maybe. I'm not sure why they would have done that. But it looks like different people got different amounts, although some of them are kind of standard amounts. The highest I see is $12,500. The lowest looks like $4,167. 3,883 was the last number. but they don't show any amounts given. So those looks like there's a gaps. So those many people who haven't claimed it yet. Of all the people on here, there's a few spaces that are gapped out. Oh no, here's a big number, 24,554 for that person. I don't know what the determining thing that caused that. This person got 25,000. So if it goes through the U.S. Justice, and I think this is what federal reparations would be, it will likely be listed on a website such as this. I don't know if they're going to list 40 million. They'll probably have to do that in like a PDF or something like that. And it looks like these numbers are meant to hide the person's identity. But I'll try to post this and put it in the chat.
Ooh. Thank you, Black.
Yep, absolutely.
Hey, Black American Homeland, I think he was talking about the Triple P, the Paycheck Protection Program. Either that or UBI, unemployment insurance benefits. Right.
Yep, that's correct.
And I think that was Jurella, or baby sister. What's up, ladies? How y'all doing? According to my aunt who does my taxes.
Hey, big brother, what's up?
Everything is good, big sister. How you doing? So, according to
I think I'm younger than you.
Okay. You still big sister, you know what I mean? Roll a triple game, you know what I'm saying? All right, come over to the liquor store too. Stop playing. I see you be dipping in there and dipping out. You know what I'm saying?
I caught her too. I caught her.
Yeah, caught her several times as young. You know what I mean?
Man, listen, I just want to say the music be jamming. It be jamming. I was listening to some Angela Winbush the other night. I was like, yes.
Word. That's what's up. Yeah, come on, look at store. Get your crucible, girl. Get your crucible. Right. What I was saying. So, if you got unemployment and then you got that 600, 300, whatever it was, 1,200, 1,800, whatever they was giving out, lump sums. Joe Biden, Jim Crow Joe Jangles, bitch ass, used it as income tax. You know what I'm saying? Like taxable income. That wasn't supposed to be that because we're in a pandemic. You know what I'm saying? So you got to go file an amendment to get your money back. So I'm on that, but the IRS, they ain't called me yet because I can't seem to find my damn 2021 returns. I don't know what the hell my aunt did with them, or she ever sent it to me. So I just actually had to contact the IRS to get a to get a hearing or whatever the case be, or a meeting, and see what the hell.
What did you order? Did you order them? You can order your old tax returns, right?
Right, but now I gotta holler at them about some other shit too. You know what I'm saying? Current taxes, business taxes, a bunch of shit. So I need to talk to somebody because I'm actually, like I said, in the process.
Because that's my name. Oh, that's funny.
For this money. And
they lit it up like that.
I got you. I got what you're saying. I'm just saying, like, if you don't ever have like old copies, or you lose your copies of your taxes, just call the 10. What is it? The 1090 number, and then you just ask the representative, or you can just go online actually, and you can request copies.
Right. Yeah, I'm gonna look into that for sure. I definitely need to ask some questions to a physical person. So, but you know how a lot of times man, you be on that phone forever. So I ain't been having the time to be up in the morning. That's why I requested a call to call me, but they ain't did it yet. So I'm gonna have to call their ass. You know what I mean?
You need to peep that to a lot of people, DJ, because a lot of people just thought it was just don't laugh, out the goodness of the government's heart, unbeknownst to them. That shit is getting taxed, and it's just like, what? It's your earned income. They scam us. So a lot of people don't even know that they can readdress that, because that was scandalous.
And look, that's why I'm saying now, go get your money back. Real talk, you know what I mean? Or at least a quarter to my aunt anyway. But I did see the report on it. So, just a heads up on that. So I guess, again, if you got UBI or whatever, unemployment benefits insurance or whatever it is, you can get your bread back. So, that wasn't supposed to be taxable income. And I think Trump said that shit, but Biden, when he came in, we wound up changing that shit. So it is what it is.
Crazy.
Go ahead, though.
Crooks. Oh, man. They're evil crooks. That's all they are. Man, evil fucking crooks.
Scam gang.
Absolutely. I put that Guam thing in the chat. It's the last thing in the Jumbotron as well. If you want to click the link and see how they set that up. Again, it's less than 4,000 people. So there's that. Because everything with the government is open to, what do they call it? Public access or something like that.
Now, Black, did you guys speak on it yet? How is New York incurring a $5 million output? I don't even know how to say it. How are they affording $5 million a day for the immigrants? Did anybody see that story?
Going off the taxpayers' backs.
Yeah,
that's why
diverting funds.
Talking about we don't have the funds. We don't have the funds to fund this shit. So therefore, meaning all these donors are advocating to the federal government for more money, as far as whatever it is. In if New York gets $1 trillion every year, they're about to get 1.5 trillion in the next fiscal budget. You know what I mean?
Now, see, California,
did they set them up as a and I need to look that up. So I haven't had time to research that story, but I did hear it or see that article that came down the timeline. But I was wondering, are they setting up like an immigrants agency or something? Because
that's what I'm saying. Yeah, what the fuck?
Those type of things. No, go ahead. But those things are already in place. It's been in place already.
Right. So I think Did they? That's what I wanted to know. Like, what is it called, or if they had something set up already?
I would just say there's a bunch of different Hispanic, Latin, whatever you want to call it, type grassroots organizations. Just like we're doing over here at CBAC, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because this is outside of
called the New Americans.
That's everywhere. That's right. But there's
but make it Hispanic though, or Latino, you know what I'm saying? So, you got the Juan Roan, you know what I'm saying, .org and shit, you know what I'm saying? With the HotTamale.org, you know what I'm saying? So you got all these different fractions that just be coming in, lending a hand, and you can see it, and it's clear as day, but at the end of the day, y'all need to do a 180 and just going back to your spot, you know what I'm saying? Because you fucking up the resources here for us. So the gas, the food, the lack of resources now that is all of a sudden be coming into your neighborhood in the form of a food desert, that's because of this new form of immigration. But here's the argument. Let's go back to the unemployment rate of the pandemic. So here's what happened, what we ain't even picked up on yet. But I'm self-employed, been hustling my whole life, so it was easy for me to see this shit. And plus, I got retail knowledge. So at the end of the day, all that extra money, the 600, the 300, the extra whatever, and yeah, I got every bit of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I got every bit of that shit. You know what I'm saying? I could have got the triple P money too, black murder, all that. But I said, nah, I ain't fucking with it. And I'm glad I didn't, because Nackers is in jail, son. You know what I'm saying? Nackers is in jail right now. You know what I'm saying? So I left that shit alone. But the unemployment, I was already on unemployment prior to the COVID hit. I exhausted my benefits at the top of March 2020. So when the shit came in and they shut everything down, I was already in the system. So all I had to do was just sit around and wait around. You feel what I'm saying? But I was going to go back to work and shit until they shut this motherfucker down. So fuck it. Yeah, give me all that bread. You know what I'm saying? And I got all the bread that I got when I was just on unemployment in general too. You know what I mean? So I haven't gone back to work since. I'm thinking about going, but I'm going to just weigh my options out, see what this, the weather looking like for the summer or whatever, and, go from there, maybe go back in the fall or whatever, I'll go back to work. Unless I find something in the meantime. But at the end of the day, I'm just holding on to the bridges. But, where this year...
You have your LLC? You got your LLC for?
Yeah, COVID put me out of business. COVID put my business out of business. Just like a lot of...
I know, but listen, do you still got your LLC though?
Yeah, I've been in business for.
Okay, so this what I want you to do. I want you to go to sam.gov. And I want you.
I'm already on that. I'm already
on that. Okay, you already. Okay, cool. Okay.
Just say it out loud so everybody else will know. Go to sam.gov.
Last year I took a class at the EDC, the UEDC, which is well, I'll drop the UD, or the UC EDC rather. It's the Economic Development Corporation. I've been saying it for a while. So find the Economic Development Corporation in your neighborhood. All they are is a subsidiary branch arm to the SBA. See that? So once you go through your state government and start looking at business shit, you'll find whatever it is you need. So, I'll sign up to all the emails and shit, you know what I'm saying? And one day I just got an email saying, hey, look, we're doing classes over here, yada, 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 and we'll help you get your first loan with everything going. So I did that class last year. I just recently did my application for my loan, but I can't get to my damn 2021 taxes because this is the first time I ever had this shit done in digital because of the COVID. I always get my shit done. Give me my return in paper so I can put that shit in my file cavity and know where it's at.
Crazy,
I got all my
we
shit stacked up from all the way back when I was like 16.
Fucking surplus.
Taxes, real shit. I'm about to be 43 in a couple of days too. In case I was thinking about giving myself for my birthday on the 9th. The 9th. You know? Put that in your head, the 9th. You know what I mean? But at the end of the day, I got a long list of taxes, yo, and checks and balances or whatever, because I've been doing this shit for a long time. But the problem is they don't want to give us anything, yo. That it don't matter if your T's crossed, I's dotted, and you got 1,001 fucking credit score and shit. You know what I mean? They don't.
Now I want to say real quick. If y'all look at my timeline, Denise posted a thing where in New York City they took $1.2 million from the kids and gave it to the immigrants. It was supposed to go for the kids.
That's what I was
looking
for.
And they steady complaining about them shooting everything up.
That's what I was
looking for. So I don't know if that was the question he was asking, but they dipping up. Yo, this is disgusting. Look at my timeline. Look at the article.
Right. Yeah, that popped up too, though. And but that's just one form of money that is allocated for a specific thing. Like salt for snow removal. So I got a video, right? It's called How to Make Money Off Your Talent. And I talk about this stuff. So federal government got money for stupid shit. And the states also have, what do you call it, wants to allocate to, it's not to not allocate, but wants to advocate to the federal government for resources for a specific thing. Ooh. So they might have some shit that they're advocating to the federal government for. Hey, look, we want to have a school for 1-year-old ballerinas and shit. 1-year-old could barely even fucking walk. So where did this money really even go to? So, shout out to Sister Disruptor. This is what she be talking about. If you follow the money, you're going to be like, yo, all this bread, and I got all these ideas, and I got my business, I've been popping. I'm already accredited and, established or whatever, but they don't want to give us that bread, yo. This is why we're working everything and trying to find another route to get to the money and shit. Because I never cared for that shit because we already know what it is, or at least me as a black male in America, American knacking nigga, you know what I'm saying? They ain't giving us nothing, you know what I mean? So unless you working for these people and you giving up your ideas, they not trying to help you out. They might help, 1 or 2 here just to keep shit in balance so motherfuckers don't complain. But other than that, nah. And being up here in Jersey, the most prejudiced state on the planet, I know y'all talk about Mississippi and Georgia a lot, but this motherfucker is real up here.
So the first actual live nugget to kick this thing off, to really get serious about even fighting for reparations or just fighting for your onus of yourself, get your LLC. Find a way to take yourself out of the Social Security realm of using your number and get you an EIN. Set up a business. I don't care if you don't have an idea of a business that you want to do. Think of doing like creating like digital products, creating.
Check it out. You don't even need to be in business to have an LLC or a tax ID.
You don't. But I'm trying to connect some dots.
Yeah, so I'm trying to hit it. I'm trying to figure it out.
I'm trying to connect some dots.
Everything else is irrelevant. Because
you're a business.
Hold on, fam. I want to hear this. I don't know nothing about this. I never heard about this.
Okay, so you can have a business even using your social security number, but it keeps you tied to the federal government. But what you want to do is, and this is the reason why we are behind, because people want you to pay thousands of dollars to do these things, and to buy Rich Dad, Poor Dad, all these other books and stuff, and they're great. No, don't get me wrong, but to get started, get you an EIN number or a TIN number. And once you get your development of your TIN number, EIN number, I want you to utilize all these platforms, and I want you to start looking up how to get government contracts. I would say TikTok has been the blow up of information, because everything now is really, really in your face. It is free information in regards to you actually get to hear people talk to you in your face. Go get you an EIN number, which is your TIN number. Once you do that, go to sam.gov and apply for a UEI number. This is my homework for you all to get on the ball, because it's not just going to be about reparations. It really is going to be about how do we actually, even in a Black majority state, sit and develop companies, businesses, and the like, and we actually own those companies and businesses under an entity, and that entity cannot assign you to the federal government, because you're not actually using your social security number. You are now using a business entity number that you control, right? The other thing is looking up trust. I know that's another conversation, but as I actually had to revamp my business and I've been going through things, I'm realizing that infrastructure is key. Infrastructure is key. And it's key not just for us collectively, but it's actually key for us individually. Meaning that when you hear people say, oh, you got to put the mask on, you got to put the mask on the plane first before you can help the people next to you, it's true. So once you actually put the mask on, the very first mask is get your EIN number, get yourself set up, then go to sam.gov and apply for your UEI number. Go through the process. There is a woman, her name is the oh shit. Okay, if you message me in my DM, I can send you her website, and she talks about how to actually get government contracts. There is a $6 billion set aside right now. $6 billion, if you heard me, $6 billion. So if you talk about the money that was utilized for kids for one program, right, and now it's being moved around, imagine if we had people who had their own businesses that we actually can contract and send money through their businesses and start to develop them. That would create infrastructure for us, for ourselves. We now have people we can pull from, and we can redirect those funds to businesses because you are set up under a business entity. So that's just a small.
I think that is a definite social space for us to do. You know what I'm saying? Because I'm taking notes and I'm trying to write it down fast. But you know how these Twitter little worms or whatever. But I think because I'm interested. So if you do something on social, I am there with popcorn and a drink. But please let us know. Like JB said, fuck this. Hook us up.
I'm with it. I've been really slacking, dealing with personal things, and this has been, needing to be done anyway. Plus, I really, really am about really building up the appraisal group. So if you're still interested in being a part of the appraisal group, please message me. This is real life. I'm not a joke. And I am about my father's business. So.
Man, so okay, we got Sister Sean. You got it.
Yes. Peace, everybody. Blessings this evening. I just wanted to. First of all, I saw your face, B host. I've been seeing you on these streets, and I just love your commentary. And I always like do a retweet or a like, or whatever. But it seems like we are in like minds and spirits. But somebody said something about New York City and the amount per day that she said 5 million. It's actually 10 million. It's 10 million per day.
Crazy.
That's factual in the news reports. They're spending $10 million per day on migrants for food and housing.
Terrible.
Google it.
Terrible.
This is absolutely ridiculous.
Terrible.
Just imagine 10 million a day. With this COVID, the onslaught of the COVID, we got hit really in 2020, late 2019. Our children are experiencing what you call learning loss, right? So they've got about 2 or 3 years of learning loss, right? And then we already have the problems that are already existing. So we're spending $10 million on illegal immigrants, where that money can be going to tutoring for our children to make up for this learning loss during this COVID. We need to all things education, tutoring for second languages. They're literally preparing our children to fail. They're not prepared. They're taking out all the trades in schools.
Absolutely.
If you really sit and think, what are you preparing our children to do? You're preparing our children to do nothing but fail. Meanwhile, you go in some of the Midwest cities, the COVID, with the COVID funds, research how they didn't use the COVID funds for COVID issues. In other words, it's up to the governor or the people in control of the money.
The fuck is this
and I think it was, I can't remember what state. They're using COVID funds to build prisons.
Yes, they are. Alabama.
You got to connect the dots.
Alabama.
So you're taking the COVID funds to build prisons when you already know that the children doing all this madness that you put us through have a 2 to 3 year learning loss, but yet you're going to redirect those funds to build prisons?
Arizona.
That is what is called the prison to pipeline system. They're continuing it. And I just want our people to understand and look at everything that's going on around us to understand what it really means. It's very, very serious. That's just one spectrum of it. And we've got this whole total spectrum. We're being, what you call, targeted under a serious attack, under different dynamics in different directions. You got the representative, some state council, I don't know what the hell his official position is, but okay, he wants to bring back hangings for corporal punishment. We've got this dude who was a very, very renowned cartoonist, Stephen Adams, Dilbert. He sit up here talking about some black folks is a hate group. What else we got going? We got down in Mississippi, they want two sets of a judicial system, which is all white. One for white and one for black.
Wait, you didn't hear about Biden in D.C. trying to push back some type of legislations, some extra policing?
Yep.
Gotta look into that one too.
Yep. So Biden, what he just did, Biden went against the entire Democrats and actually sided with the GOP because DC is a federal city. They're a little bit different.
Did he destroy $100 billion surplus? Man,
presented all of these criminal reforms, and they really were lowering the what do you call it? The time for
mandatory minimums.
Yeah, minimums. There you go. he went against it and he sided with the GOP. All right, cool. What? But let me tell you, let's give the other side that what also happened in DC in the same week. DC just approved for illegal, legal, and foreign diplomats to vote in elections in the District of Columbia. They gave illegals the right to vote. This tells you that the Republicans, now, the House passed it to block it, federal. And then the Senate came in to block it. But here's what they did. They saved face. It's a game. So they blocked it, but there was a 30-day rule where you have to go in and you have to solidify your blocking of the vote or the bill. They let the 30 days pass and they did not block it. So now it became law in the District of Columbia.
Wowzers.
I probably was very confused in that, but this is how the games they play. So in other words, they did that for face value to make it seem like they were doing something, but they intentionally knew that they had a 30-day requirement. You have to solidify. This is the rules here in the District of Columbia because I'm in DC. They did not solidify it with the requirement within the 30 days.
Right.
Because they did not meet their 30-day deadline.
Right.
That's why it became into law. It was the Republicans that did that.
Crazy.
So in face value, if you don't understand what's going on, it makes it look like they were trying to block it because it was introduced, it was blocked.
Right.
And with the House passed
why would they do that? Right? Why would they do that?
The Republicans came
Why would they do that?
So it gave the appearance that the Republicans were
because they work together. That's why
people saving the day.
Yes.
And blocking. And that's what they did. Because they did. They shot down the illegals to vote in the District of Columbia from the House. But what they did was they silently and quietly
sat around.
Just forgot about it?
No.
What the fuck?
Hell
there
no.
you go. They let the 30-day requirement.
They knew what they knew. That's the law. They know the fucking law. They know the law.
That's why it quietly became law.
They know the law. They know what the fuck they're doing.
Ain't that a bitch? This is what you guys got to understand what they're doing. They intentionally did not meet that 30-day demand.
Exactly.
But they wanted to clout trace to make it seem like that they blocked it. So when they go in the next election, that they can sit up there and say, "Oh, we tried to block illegals voting." But what they did was they quietly let the 30-day requirement.
You on fire.
They did not.
You on fire. You
do
on
what they needed to do
fire,
within 30 days,
man.
and
I
they
swear
did
to
it on
God,
purpose.
you on fire.
So all they want to be able to say, they want to clout chase to say we blocked it, but they're not going to tell you that we blocked it, but we also failed.
You on fire.
To meet the requirement that was necessary within 30 days to prevent it from coming into law. Keyword, prevent it from coming to law. So they allowed it.
Yes,
so let's just oppose that to what Mr. B said on the crime bill. So this is the hypocrisy. Now, in the District of Columbia, we got two big things. Now we got all of these major changes to our criminal laws and different sentences. So now he wants to step in all of a sudden. He come by with the super cape. He's going to come in and side with the GOP, which is the Republicans, and said he's going to veto everything with reducing the sentencing laws, which is almost unheard of. But if you think about it, why didn't you come in with your super cape within that 30 days not to allow illegals, and foreign diplomats those are the three categories, people.
Wow.
Legals, illegals, and foreign diplomats can vote.
Wow.
Why didn't you put your damn super cape on to meet that 30-day requirement? Why did you guys allow that law to pass when they actually blocked it?
Because they work together.
You see the games that they're playing?
They work together. It's a monopoly.
I don't think I'm articulating. I hope I'm articulating.
Yes, you are. Yes, you are.
But they played games.
Nah, you're doing a good job.
This is
they
what they
blocked
do.
it. So if you look at it in the news, it'll say the Republicans, the House passed it.
Bro.
But it said the Republicans blocked it. They did. And it gives the appearance that they stopped the right for illegals to vote. But what they quietly did was it's procedure administratively. You can vote to block it, but there's an administrative process. There's a next step you have to do within 30 days. They failed to do it. That's why it became into law.
Crazy.
Look deeper into that. We wasn't having that shit.
Crazy,
I'm right here in D.C. The Republicans did that on purpose. So they faking the funk, fake outrage.
That's what I've
so
been
they
saying.
act like
That's what
they
we've been
against
saying.
illegals, but they're really for illegals.
They are.
But
It's
an economic. It is an economic base for both people who are
voter
established
base,
entities
all of it. They want
to make money off of cheap labor. If you do not think this is a game, this is not a game, you better wake your ass up. They are looking to re-insurgent the damn Jim Crow laws, bring back cheap labor, and also displace our asses like they've been doing because we want to be considered citizens of this entity. Yep. So stop playing. And then you got to see that game. So the Republicans, they blocked it, but they intentionally let that 30-day period go by, and they did not do what was necessary. That's how it became law in the District of Columbia. So you blocked it, but you didn't follow through. Here's how they're going to spin that shit. They're going to spin it like, oh, we were against illegals in the District of Columbia, but they're not going to tell you that, yeah, you didn't follow through with that shit. Mm-hmm. They just want to be able to cape and be able to get clout chase off of it. They don't say it's a liberal. That was a liberal move. It was a liberal.
Blame the blue. Blue versus red. Fucking theater. It's like the WW fucking E. WWF.
They don't care. They trying to line their pockets too. That's why I keep telling people in DJ, no, you know I love you. That MAGA shit. Listen, it is a dog whistle. Stop playing with these people because they're not playing with us. They are trying to make it seem like, well, this is bigger than democracy. We're talking about saving, America and making America great. Well, last I checked, the America Great conversation had to do with the Ku Klux Klan ruling under this entity. That's where that came from. And you're absolutely right. So let me just oppose that with District of Columbia. Look at it, y'all. I'm giving y'all what's going on. So now Biden all of a sudden wants to insert himself in the District of Columbia politics. And now he wants to say he's going to veto what our council said to reduce the crime bills, right? Which is good. But you got to look deeper. Why didn't you interject yourself to stop them illegals, foreign nationals, and asylum seekers from voting with a damn requirement? You only got to be here in 30 days. Damn. In this country. Damn. That is an insult. Where we, as freedmen, foundational Black Americans, the descendants of U.S. chattel slavery,
you got to file a lawsuit. You have to
water,
file a lawsuit. You have
blood,
to file a lawsuit.
Sweat and tears.
You gotta get together.
You mean to tell me
who we
you
got?
only gotta fucking come over here and get a fucking free cell phone?
We gotta get
with some goddamn an Obama phone, whatever fuck you want to call it. You gonna get a hotel room
you gonna get a housing voucher and some food stamps, and all you got to do is sit here 30 days, and you know nothing about our politics. You know nothing about the dynamics of our politics, the candidates, and all you got to do is sit your ass here 30 days, and you have the right to vote when our forefathers shed blood and put blood on this soil for that right? Man, this shit is out of control. It's totally out of control. I want y'all to think about how foul this is.
No, it's crazy.
How disrespectful this is.
We talked about it.
And for Joe Biden to want to pick up the mantle and to divert on the crime bills in the District of Columbia, oh, hell no. You should have put the cape on, and you need to be vetoing the fact that the District of Columbia, because we are very, very unique here. We are federal. Anything we do, we still have to go through the House and the Senate. Right. He should have put that damn cape in to reverse that fucking law for these fucking illegals, foreign nationals, and asylum seekers to vote within 30 days.
And when you think about this, like considering his history on his tough on crime thing, when he was a senator, for him to be doing this now, and what people are saying is that was a play of he's trying to get that Republican base, or he's trying to he doesn't want to look soft on crime. So I don't know. I hear a lot of different things. What's your thoughts?
My thought is the crime bill 2.0. He actually sided and went against all the Democrats and sided with the GOP on that.
Yeah, because he has
to veto it. Because the bill initially passed.
Wait, Sister Sean, you got to tell the other side though. The Republican Party did not challenge him on the crime bill. They never have. They never have. Because as they always say, multiple people signed off and championed the crime bill. Yes, the Republican Party was one. That's why. What was his name? What was Biden's mentor?
Oh yeah.
What the hell was that damn Klan? He was a Klan's Strong Thurman. There you go.
Yep. But no, this is 2.0. Biden went against all of his Democrats and sided with the GOP to veto it. But my thing is, okay, all good. Why didn't you put the cape on? All these bills all just came up in the past 2 weeks. Why didn't you shut the damn illegals voting? Why didn't you shut that down? So you gonna shut down how they're softening up the crime bill because he said he needs some changes in the bill. He's gonna veto it. He needs it to be stronger. So he wants to present himself as tough on crime. But what they're quietly not saying is that you just gave illegal immigrants all of these rights to vote. And so you're not going to sit up there and promote that you did that, right? They want to promote that, oh, I'm tough on crime. So it was so, he was so thirsty that he had to side with the GOP and go against all the Democrats. So they're pissed off at him about that. But it shows you how fake they are. That's what I'm really trying to kind of explain to you guys. That they're faking. They're not for real. And they're for real because they're actually affected.
Well, that's what they're saying too, sister. They're saying that he couldn't even push that if the people didn't want that. Like similar to like when our caucus allowed him to push that back in the days. They saying now the people in DC somehow they seem like surges in crime, whether it's propaganda or whatever. And to your point, they're not being honest or real, but I don't think enough people are aware.
Yeah, it's really messed up. Even me, and we have to understand this game because I'm right here, and I'm a very outspoken person. But they're really doing some pseudo tricks on us, and they do stuff behind closed doors, and and it just pops up, and we don't even have an opportunity to respond.
So, Sister Sean, I think so. What I have an idea on what we should do, but I know, this might be. I don't know if people are ready to even have that conversation again. So, what would you think that what should be our move on the chessboard?
Well, the biggest move is that we have to be at the board. We have to, and this is very, very important. We've got to have a team. We got to get a team together. And, we on Twitter, and like I have a radio show. I do a lot of stuff. I can't be everywhere. But we need a team to actually sit there, and their job every day is to monitor the proposed legislation. See, they're doing this stuff backdoor. A lot of this stuff is not like we think, we got to vote on it every 2 years or 4 years. There's a lot of legislation in between voting that they propose and get passed without the people even voting on it. And that's the part of politics that I think we don't understand. I don't even understand. I'm learning it. The only reason why I'm learning it is because I'm getting burnt by it, right? Because we only hear about it in the aftermath, and everybody's respond to it like what the fuck? How did this happen? Because we're not understanding that they're doing stuff behind our backs. And because they're doing it quietly, we don't have the opportunity to give them the smoke. So we need a team to really, whatever your jurisdiction is or your state, that's all their job is to do. Look at the laws. Look at what the city council is proposing. Have an idea. Think, how's it going to affect you, our people? If it's going to affect us adversely, put it on Twitter. See, they're doing things that we don't know that they're doing. They're sneaking doing and all this stuff. So, and it's all about, we put it was public. They do publicize it. We publicize it, and they do. But nobody pays attention. And so then they reverse it back on you. Well, we publicize it. All they got to do to publicize something, they could print something in the newspaper on a Sunday. Who's sitting up there every Sunday scouring newspapers? Not the average person. They do that shit on purpose. But then they can defend themselves and say that they made it public. It's very simple to make something public. All you got to do is put an ad in the paper. Or do one little announcement on a Sunday when nobody's looking or listening. That's how they like jacklegging us.
Uh-oh.
Next thing you know, it's been voted on and it's motherfucking law. That's what happened in the District of Columbia.
Hammurabi?
Because I'm right here. I'm right here.
That's what they did here in California. I woke up one Monday and they had passed the law for same-sex marriages. And if you weren't acknowledged back a couple of years ago or whatever, these people are getting $2,000 a month because they were disrespected for same-sex marriages for the job or some bullshit. It was a Sunday. I woke up Monday. I'm like, they can't do shit on time. But they'll do shit on Saturdays and Sundays. So when you wake up, you don't know what just happened. But it's a thermometer. They just want to see how sick we are and which doctor is going to screw us. Either it's going to be a Democratic doctor or it's going to be a Republican. That's all they do. They play these games to see which cup are we drinking out of, because they don't mean us any fucking good. It's out the picture of hate. It's ridiculous. $2,000 a month.
Wow.
So what did they give us?
The same-sex marriages, if you were working or you were on somebody, if I like women and I'm at work and I try to put you on whatever, and they didn't allow it, well, they said, okay, well, that wasn't right. That wasn't right. I would try to find it, but it's $1,800 to $2,000 a month for the next 6 years. I will find this. It happened on it. I think I even tweeted about it. I said I woke up I go to sleep Friday, and then on Monday, they just passed the bill. And they never do anything.
Post that. I need to see that. Post that, please.
I'll find it right now for y'all.
San Francisco, wasn't it?
Say that again, please.
Wasn't that in San Francisco?
I believe. Yes, it was.
I saw that.
Yes.
They approved. It was $1,200 to $2,000 a month for LBGT pilot program, and I think I don't know who proposed it, but all I know is that I saw the damn headline and the motherfucker should pass. So
damn.
But see, this is the kind of stuff that's going on. We got to get on top of this, man. We got to get on top of this. I'm very proud of everything that I see on Twitter. But we have got to get into those boardrooms and those governance areas. And we got to stay on. And so somebody asked me the question, what do? We need to form a team. And that team is to get into those governing boards and find out what are all those legislations. Like I just tweeted on my page, I didn't even know in Maryland, this is my area. I'm in the DMV. DMV means District of Columbia, Maryland, and Virginia. Mm-hmm. Maryland just proposed, they had some sort of hearing to create a reparations committee and council. Something similar what they're doing with AB 3121, I believe, in California, that's getting all this headway. I'm sitting right here. And then,
no, it's just that's just the commission. So the bill AB 3121 was passed on the assembly. That's what the A is for. Maryland is not actually, because I'm in the V. I'm in the V of the DMV, and people are meeting secretly to get commissions started. And the reason why, this is why I keep telling people, it's important that you get involved before NARC and then Cobra gets involved, because in the grand scheme of all these things, they're trying to make reparations. Mind you, remember, these are different situations that's going on. Majority Black state of migration, setting up your EI. All this is all different things that you have to be aware of. These bills that are being brought to the assemblies, and they're looking for people to champion these bills. These are bills that you can actually get with someone and write yourself. And then that person who is actually elected official can take your bill, bring it to the assembly floor of your state, and have it introduced so that it now becomes a bill that can be voted on to be enacted into law. So AB 3121 was done the exact same way in California, that they're trying to establish a commission in Maryland, right? But who is working on a bill for Maryland to be brought into law? Probably the same people that had championed the mayor into office. And you got to remember, you got different people who are different groups. Like you got people who are part of the British Crown, the Latinos who are trying to, recapture the United States. And, they have Viva La Raza situation going on. And you have other groups who also have a vendetta against the United States who are saturating the boards. This is why I always kept saying we have to, as we are moving and reshifting, we still got to participate in democracy, because they will literally erase us based on lack of knowledge.
I'm glad that, because I just got hip to that yesterday. That's my point. How they're sneaking this stuff up, but it just kind of percolated to be able to say that they're voting on this commission. So now I'm going to be like a bumblebee to figure out how do I, participate. So if you in the DMV, me and you DM me, I actually just DM you. Let's get on it, and let's get up in the house. Let's get in the building. That's how you are proactive. If not, it'll get away from us, just like they're doing in California. In California, they're showing up 10 toes down. They're in the paint. And now that I know, I didn't know, just like all this other stuff I didn't know, they backdooring and sneaking a lot of stuff up on us. That's why I say we need a separate team just to see what they're doing in these legislative bodies. Now that we know, now we got to do. So I just tweeted that shit, I think this morning, because I just found out about it like yesterday. So now that I know about this damn commission, we're going to be all up on it. If you in Virginia, I'm in D.C., let's get together. Maryland, I got family. Look, let's get up in there and figure out what this commission's all about. And as a private citizen,
we need to get people on the commission, because they're going to have people voting on the commission, and you don't want people voting on the commission that are not American descendants. That's point blank, period. And then you got to be, people got mad about the people that were on the commission board for California, but you were not involved. That was our downfall. People took that shit for granted and then got mad at who was actually on the damn commission panel. See, don't do that. That's why I keep telling people, I don't give a F what you want to call yourself right now, because historically and politically, there are two different fronts going on. So while you want to be sitting here arguing about what your classification is and your identity and what you if you Indian or whatever else or whatever.
Oh, they can't fuck with your boy. I be finding shit.
Then listen, don't subscribe to that. Don't subscribe to the nuances of having to combat your identity. First of all, you're living in the United States. You have a birth certificate and a social security card. You are a voting citizen. Even if you don't vote, you still have the opportunity to vote as an American descendant. Start there. Get your asses up and figure out who the hell is representing you and get in their face.
Yep, get in the paint. And that's what I've been trying to do. Here's what we got to understand. We respect everyone, but I think there's some sort of disconnect. You got to understand that you got to first get at the table. Once we get at the table, we'll delineate. So stop. We don't have to fight with one another. We're fighting with one another, but we're not at the table. They're doing all the stuff behind our backs. So I don't even, I've already been through that. I don't even put my energy in that anymore. If people can't understand at this juncture, we have got to get at the table. Like, if you with me and you, I DM'd you, let's get in the paint. Let's get up there for NARC and Cobra, and let's be one of the ones that's on those microphones and at those hearings talking about, we'll delineate there. That's where it matters. It doesn't matter with us fighting in the damn Twitter space. Let's delineate with these people who are about to cut the check. Now, once I looked at their proposal a little bit, and we need to get up there to fine-tune those proposals to make sure that proposal is not out of order. What I was pleased that it was calling for $800,000 a piece for cash payments for Maryland residents. But again, that's why you got to show up. Do the contrast. In California, they're calling for $5 million a piece. So in their very introductory stage of proposal, they're only calling for $800,000 a piece. Who's going to make the difference between $800,000 and $5 million? That's people showing up like me and you saying with a proposal and with the delineation and giving a cost analysis to say 800,000 isn't enough. And if somebody doesn't show up to say, how are you proposing 800,000 in the state of Maryland, and the state of Maryland was considered the South, and California wasn't. California is where the slaves fled to and were re-enslaved. So how you gonna propose $5 million for California and only $800,000 for the state of Maryland, where people don't understand the District of Columbia, which is now the District of Columbia, the capital of the United States, was really first in Maryland, in the state of Maryland. But there was some kind of war, and they had to move it to Washington, D.C. That's how we became Washington, D.C. So we have a lot of history here. So you're not just going to throw us no damn $800,000. So it's people like me and you, we have to go and educate these people, because we got a lot of old mammies and old niggas.
Yeah, but you also got a bunch of old young people who also have an idea of what they want to see, but don't know how to go about making moves. They listen to, a lot of people who subscribe to, well, we just got to do it on our own, and we just got to do X, Y, and Z. Well, what does that look like? When you start asking people what does that look like? And how does that impact us in regards to how you move in your own state, in your own local principality? They don't know. They don't know. And you're sitting here trying to lead people down the street when you ain't even, you have not even actually took the time to map out how the damn local, state, and federal is set up as an entity. But you believe all it takes is just us getting together. That's not all it takes. That's not how this shit works.
That's why we gotta be there. I literally just found out yesterday. I DM'd you. I'm gonna be all over it. And now that they're trying to do a new commission in Maryland, the state of Maryland, like they're doing, kudos, hats off to what they doing. They taking names and kicking ass.
They are. And then if you notice, all the people, the migrants that's coming up from the South, from South America, somebody's leading them people here. Them people got backpacks. They prepared, and someone is leading them here. We are doing it. No. We are not leading them here. Someone who was already... Yes, there you go. There you go. So someone who literally is already a citizen, who works in government, who was part of a system, said, listen, we need to start getting these new people in here, because they set up programs for Office of New America, sanctuary cities. They put in legislation to get, to start this new leg of support to get people in here to pretty much erase you out of existence. Because why? The Negro, let me put it, the Negro is not going to do the work, and realizing that they ain't never been set up. Let me just lay this on the line. Reconstruction was never completed. It was never completed.
There's an Asian politician, a woman out of New York City. She's operating in California right now. King Carter woke it up. She's part of that Office of New America. She definitely has a big hand in it.
Who, that Grace Ming?
Exactly.
So Grace Ming was in New York, and she was the one that initiated. The name change and getting rid of the Negro classification, because they were trying to get rid of Oriental, and Obama was like, oh yeah, let's throw Negro in there, because we need to go ahead and get rid of it. Ain't nobody paying attention no way. They bank on us not paying attention.
Yeah, she did a few things, and she's in Cali now, if I'm not mistaken. I'm sorry, guys.
If you guys think that how can I say this? I was just going through the spaces, and it seemed like it was a group of young people, maybe 20s or 30s, maybe even less, or mixed in that. And I heard, and I almost started to put my hand up and just, try to say something, but I could tell that it wasn't going to be well received. And one of the comments was, ain't nobody going to be fucking with no Jim Crow. That shit is dead. That's not happening. No way are we going to let that happen. And I thought to myself, the people that were living it every single day during that era, it happened. So for them to make it seem as such a far away, just unfathomable, the shit fucking happened. It happened, and it will happen again if we are caught sleeping. But for them to say with such conviction, ain't no motherfucking way that shit gonna happen. You don't think we said that when that shit was happening to us and we started to peep this shit? So it's sort of like, I don't know whether or not they're disassociated or it's like a video game to them. They think they can turn it on and off, and it's really not going to come to fruition or whatever. I don't know what it is.
You know what it is.
You know what it is about is shit that has happened and can happen again, and I don't think people are getting it.
No, because you know what it is. People think that all you got to do is just vocalize something, and it's not gonna harm you. All we got to do is collectively get together and use our voice, and they not gonna do nothing. No, that's not how this works. Your ass has got to show up at referendum meetings. You got to show up at the assembly meetings. You have to actually go online and see how your government in your state is set up. Then you have to collectively get together and you have to have conversations with the community in your state, in your local principality, and saturate the message. And you have to move stealthily. That's the reason why we keep getting our asses handed to us in the fucking game. Because we're trying to argue with Roland Martin. We're trying to argue with all these motherfuckers down the timeline. That's not where the fight is. That's a social fight, yes, but that's not the fight. Y'all want to get into some fight? For those of us who are fighting in the fight, meaning you get wounds handed to your ass, the fight actually is where you actually get physical wounds. So if you ready and you bought it in that way, yeah, let's go. Because socially, that shit don't matter. Matter of fact, even if no one gave a F about who Rella was, who Sister Rella was, it wouldn't matter to me socially, because physically, politically, economically, that's where the goddamn fight is.
Yeah, those are young, courageous young people. Just let them beat their chest. You know what I mean? I'm some utility to that. I mean, they beating the drum the way they are. But there's other spaces like this where it's a little bit more intentional. So I wouldn't be discouraged by that.
Did you guys see it was a sister, I guess she was in her car, and she was going off about how they're trying to enact in Mississippi the Jim Crow law, and she was touching on some points, but what really stuck out to me, she was like, the Bloods, the Crips, the M13s, whatever the hell's going on, she's like, you guys are our defense. We don't have an army. You guys, really want to be strong and, pop a cap in this ass and, whatever. And when she was going off, she was like, you guys are our army. They have the guns, allegedly. It's basically recorded. And nothing I say is the result of the host.
Allegedly.
You feel me? But, so if they already, packing this shit,
two-way, self-defense.
Let's set it off. But she made a good point. She's like, you guys are our army. The government don't give a shit. They don't give a shit.
Everybody got a right to defend themselves.
The Bloods, the Crips, and all the rest of that, they better, perk up. Or they're not going to have any customers or any other rivals to shoot and kill at each other, because we all going to be locked up or singing, way by the water.
They do. Like you just said. You got MS-13. You think they won't go after, when it comes to territory and money and selling? It doesn't matter. No matter what gang it is, they could be the Yakuza and the damn what the hell's the Triad?
The Triads. That's because the motherfuckers. But they are here. But they here. The cartel. Listen. The cartel has been operating in government for some time now. You don't think that's not a coincidence.
Ever heard of Chicago?
Exactly. So all I'm saying is, that's why I think I had said the quiet part out loud. Like, we really need a black mafia. And I was serious. I'm not talking about Jay Prince and them, because I don't think he's ready to move the way we really need to move. Because the way we really need to move, we're not on some you murdering a damn rapper because you trying to set precedents or your son got some fucking issue. I'm talking about for real life involved.
Shit.
Like they're not.
You fuck with us, you getting fucked.
Thank you. The quiet part out loud. These white people, the Russians and shit, we're talking about the Russian mafia. You're talking about people who really are moving, but they're not worried about this low-level shit that you're seeing in media that's got the young people capitalized. They're not worried about that. They're talking about moving money. Like I always say, it's the world that people don't realize is around them. The real world that's around them, where you got people worried about somebody being a hoe, where you got someone that's paying these madams and shit for $2,500 so they gotta have a place to go meet. I'm talking about the world in the world that you don't realize is operating, and they are controlling government.
Like that money laundering over in Ukraine.
Listen, you don't think
the real world? The real world.
Well, now the diplomat can vote thanks to fucking Jim Crow, Biden. Now the diplomats, sister, now they can vote and say it's okay for them to do that. Some bullshit.
So that means Zelensky has a vote then, right?
And listen, and she's right. Everybody is right here. But what we got to understand, they are moving strategically. Mm-hmm. They are moving in, they already have their gangs intact, MS-13s, cartels. We are being invaded and infiltrated.
And the police department. The police department got 18 effing different gangs in the police department that the feds know about. Why we don't got one or two?
Well,
that's why I always get upset when I be like, y'all want to be Bloods and Crips and shit, but you don't want to be Bloods and Crips when it fucking matter.
There you go. That's what I'm.
Y'all want to be fucking sororities and fraternities, but you don't want to be the sororities and fraternities when it matters. You got motherfuckers out here doing pearls and chucks and dancing down the damn street. If you got on pearls and your pearls ain't laying somebody to rest and you get into position in office, them not the pearls I want to wear.
No, they law-abiding citizens. Then fuck the gang. I'm a Blood, but I'm a law-abiding citizen. Shit don't sound right to me.
And fuck the ass and the titties and the fucking fingernails and the hair. Because when these goddamn Ukrainians, they're mostly neo-Nazis. The fucking Mexicans, they're all anti-black. They're bringing the goddamn cartel. The Afghans, they're anti-hate. You got Asian mafia and all, fuck all that. They don't give a damn. They gonna smoke our asses. So we got to get up off the goddamn soapbox. We on the soapbox and this ass, titty, hair, and nails bullshit. I'm sick of it. You all better prepare for war. I don't want no goddamn fingernails. I walk out every day. I cut my fingernails. I put my big rings on. Back in the day, we used to wear 3-finger rings. We did that on purpose. I had my little boots on. I'm not out here dainty like that. I mean, I'm cute, but I ain't out there.
I'm out here dainty. I got my nails and my motherfucking hair on, but I'm gonna cut your ass too.
Exactly. But we gotta be ready. I'm not sitting up there, all this bullshit. We don't understand what we are up against. It's very serious. It really is. And we have to understand we're being infiltrated in our country that we built with all these nationalities that don't know our history. They don't understand us, and they hate us.
They hate us.
That's why we see all of these interactions and clashes.
They fucking hate us.
And the white man did that on purpose because of his inner hate. He hates us so much. He still don't want to do right by us, but we gonna make him. We ain't finished with that sucker. And all of these groups, I'm going up against them next. Because as far as I'm concerned, they are complicit in it. And we're going to be charging all of them in our reparations claim as well. But we got to be ready, y'all. This shit is serious. It really is. It's crazy. And no other country, look at any other country. No other country allows this to happen. If you look at the international news, even the little stuff that come on Twitter, they booting motherfuckers out their country left and right. No other country allows all these different people to come up in here and allow them to vote in 30 days.
Look, my daughter and I were talking, and there was a protest in France. And they were trying to either get rid of their Social Security, their pension, or something. The French people went the fuck off. They were like, no, you're not. It's not happening today, however you want to say it in French. And so my daughter says, you know what, isn't that weird how America, we came from the type of situation where, you know, the government was going to do what we wanted them to do, and they didn't, so they came over here. Stay with me. I'm going a long way around. There's a lot of meat in that, so I'm just getting to that. But she says, you know, other countries, if they're not having some shit, they not having it. They are fucking not having it. So I'm just not understanding the reason why America, who's not supposed to be so racist, right? If they're not supposed to be so racist, we wouldn't be having this conversation. But that's the reason why I don't think we people, Black Americans, are not getting through to each other, because if we had fellow fucking Americans, just normal citizens that realize you're a citizen no matter what color you are, meaning us Black Americans, fuck the rest of them, we could protest as a country. But this country don't give a fuck about us. It don't give a fuck about us. So we can't be like the French people who go out into the street and get shit changed because they don't give a fuck. Who are we going to complain to? The people that's fucking us over? So I'm like, you know, my daughter's name is Sarah. I was like, don't get it twisted. If we had a real country that gave a shit about us, we could be able to do that. But it don't matter. They don't care. That's why nobody's listening to us, because our country ain't even fucking speaking to us, because they're doing it to us. They're the ones that's bending us over and fucking us. Other countries don't have that shit. Iran, they are protesting. You see what I'm saying? So it's just kind of, why would the world listen? Because the world's like, if your mother don't give a fuck about you, why should we? And everybody that's ass we kicked is over here. Every person that we went to war with, they living over here knows. They said fuck their own country. They ain't got no loyalty.
And what they did in France,
like, this shit is real. This shit is real, y'all. It's real.
Yeah, and what they did in France, they pull up to the prime minister's palace or whatever.
Yes, they did. Knock.
And who joined them? The police department, all them civil service workers. I heard even dump like manure on his front lawn. But the issue with this America thing is, like unlike France and these places, they still got self-identity. Here, whiteness, they're about to die off. They're going to be a minority in 2040.
Yeah, they're trying to stop that. That's the that's the thing. They want. That's why they're trying to get all these other groups to come in here. They're like, we'll give you some citizenship, but you got to classify yourself as white.
Well, listen, they've been moving that goalpost since like the early 1900s when they brought the Southern Europeans in, and now you got the Hispanics who are a big ethnic group, but they're by and large white. You go down to Florida, the Cubans, they're white people. Like they identify, they move as white. Yeah. So this white antagonist that we got has been integrated with all others, and they're looking at this place like it's an opportunity. Like, it's a great, don't give a fuck about what we're going to do.
Thank God there's the sun. They can all get skin cancer. Thank God for the sun.
What's she talking about?
They're looking at it.
You ain't lying, but I'm just. And they said this summer is supposed to be the hottest another one. So
yeah. It's the cash cow. That's why they don't ever say South America is a cash cow. We don't ever hear them say South America is the cash cow. The cash cow is here because how all of these different the slave owners, they split the country up into 4 quadrants, and you had 4 different slave owning countries who operated the different parts of the country under different laws, and then they went to war with each other because they were greedy. And who won? The British ended up winning, but the British had to fight themselves. And they were like, well, we need to get from under this shit because we ain't gonna be paying this other place taxes. We need to start, bringing in the money. So what did they do? They started trying to set up their own entity. So what do you hear Marjorie Taylor Greene, trifling ass, talking about? We need to succeed. We need to be safe, and we need to what? We need to have a succession. That's pretty much what she's saying again.
When I learned this, it was I think it was like a YouTube or something. Peep this shit, family. Okay, so when America, when the bitch, okay, let's call her she, when the bitch left from over there and started her own shit over here, it was 13 colonies, right? So when they came over here, Britain and all the rest of them just loaned them money. They reneged on it. They loaned it to them again. They reneged on it, loaned it to them again. And so the last time they were like, no, we're going to come back and get our property. We're going to come back and get our land. Well, by that time, this bitch had, got full titties. Now she ain't no training bra no more. So when they came over here, they realized, wait a minute, it's too far. They didn't got their little bully shit up. We can't do anything for it. We can't bully them. They didn't came up. They didn't grew up now, right? So for the 13 colonies, which is the DC, and it blew my mind because I'm looking at this, and it's like, this is the reason why DC is under a certain type of different cloak or whatever. Because I could never understand, why is DC different from the rest of the other states? Well, when America reneged on that shit, they were like, get your money when you can. So America has never had a 800 credit score. America went into this bitch saying, we're not paying you back. You want to come get it. So when we're thinking about then the war happened. The Civil War, everything just went ballistic. It was grab. So I continually try to, when I listen to people and they don't get the urgency of what's going on, it's just like, okay, we've asked. We've been asking for hundreds of years. We've been asking. But how can you ask somebody that stole it from you to give it back? You weren't supposed to have it. We told you no, and then you still said fuck you, and you took it. So the politeness of asking for it, it's over. They could have signed this shit 2 seconds ago. So this round around is just trying to keep us busy. And like the sisters are saying, when they do these laws at 12 o'clock midnight on Sunday, that's the real fucking meat and potatoes. And if we need to get our money some other way before we get our money, then we need to play the game. But we can't get caught slipping. Not on a Sunday, and then you wake up on fucking Monday and somebody gets $2,000.
Cool.
No, more than $2,000, sister. Look at the Ukraine. It's billions with a B. I think right now we've got over 200 billion invested. Yep. Think about that.
Well, in Ukraine,
in a war that ain't even ours.
It's more than that. Ukraine. It's almost $500 billion already.
Yeah, and let me tell you. Okay, here's how we got to think. We got to understand what's really going on. The white man, which was our original oppressor and enemy, is desperate. We saw that with January 6th. When that incident, that event that we witnessed was a real-time coup d'etat. That was the white man trying to maintain white power.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. You have to think about it for what it really, really is. It was a really serious infraction. So they weren't successful. But that's how desperate they are. That they want to attempt to overthrow their own government. So now they're quietly working behind the scenes. So the war is not over. It's covert. That's what I want to get across. So that's why they're going back to the drawing board. And then they're infiltrating and flooding us with immigrants.
No, absolutely. Absolutely agenda. Absolutely scripted.
And through the asylum process.
I don't think it's as covert as
they are.
Some may believe if you're paying attention, you're paying attention. If you're not paying attention, then you won't know what's going on anyway.
Trying to maintain
their
white supremacy
it's out in the open
through immigration and also through impregnation. And they prefer the Asians. That's why we're getting all of this pushback from the Asians, because we don't understand on the West Coast, a lot of them white men got Asian women. And then they've got their children and children's children, they're like mixed with white. And people you
for all you passport bros, y'all motherfucking asses don't even understand the half of it. But go ahead, I ain't gonna go off.
But what I'm saying is, and then there's another phenomenon going on that isn't in mainstream with the immigration and border. And in San Francisco and in those western cities, they literally, see, this is not on the news at all, but I know it. I've got firsthand accounts of it. They've got Asian women literally sitting on the borderline having their damn babies. And they have a name for it. They've got it. They say
satellite babies.
Satellite babies. And look, and what they do, let me tell you what they do. This is what the Asian people do. Everybody got their own little thing, right? And the way they do things. They sit there on the border, bunch of pregnant women, and have the babies. And then what they do is they birth the baby here to get the credentials and whatever they need, and then they send them all back on a plane back to China or Japan because they don't want them to grow up here in this environment. But they
check the tweet. I just tweeted it in this space right here. Check it out.
But have the American status so they could come back.
Exactly. So they say from San Francisco to airport, they call them mother birthing planes or something.
Wow.
They're filled with women with their babies that they just birthed, but they're sending them all back to their country, and they leave them there till they're about like 5-6 years old, and then they eventually bring them back. And what I've also been researching and understanding, once they do that, they already hooked up in businesses and stuff. Even though that child is in Japan or China or wherever they send the child, they still get the child tax credit on their income taxes.
Damn.
They claim that child, even though that child ain't there, because that child got birthed on this soil and got the damn Social Security number.
Man, they're on rule. See, I can see. This is what I'm getting.
That's what they doing over there. That's what they doing over there in Africa too. They doing the same thing in Africa.
This is what I'm getting. White supremacist rules are what's killing this country off. Because the rules are so benign and stupid, because they can't compete. But now you having other groups are using their own tools against them. And this is what's dying off this civilization.
Because you know why, Leon? Because they didn't expect them motherfuckers to come in here and go against them. That was their downfall. That's why karma is a biatch. And when you think that you were doing something to actually advance yourself, it is going to be the destruction of them. Because these people are coming in here and they have defined their own agenda. They are even setting themselves up so that they actually, like Sister Sean was saying, so that they have the citizenship enough to vote, right? So that they can lead. They don't even have to stay here. Kamala is prime example. They asses came here, had the babies, but then left and was raised in another country. And then they'll come back here, and what they'll do, we're going to join the HBCUs. We're going to get into the culture. We're going to blend in. Why? Because we have to find our way to the golden bag, the rule of power.
Well,
and let me tell you another thing.
It's in the Jumbotron for everybody who doesn't know. It's in the Jumbotron. Satellite babies.
Satellite babies. I'll look at that. Here's another thing.
Satellite babies.
All right. I heard this. This is truth. It was just me having conversations and networking, and a Chinese person revealed this to me. Now,
babies.
Do you know they have a special council in their country? Because
wild, bro.
There was always this question. Well, the Asians, the Asian voting rate, and how do they vote? They're unpredictable, and you hear all this analysis around the Asians, right? And what I found out was they have a fucking council, you guys. This is how organized they are. And the guy came and admitted to us in a conversation. He said, we only vote based on how the council tells us to vote. It comes from China. I swear to God. Yep. So they have a whole council. Because we were like, well, damn, how come you ain't like, why you don't have our back? Because the conversation was like, we as Black Americans, we didn't have the Koreans back, the Chinese back, everybody motherfucking back. So we were kind of like giving them a little bit of smoke on that.
Wow.
And then he leveled up and he said, we are told we don't get into politics in America. He says we are told from a special council how to vote. And then we were digging deep on, how do you, all these businesses. He was telling us how they get a leg up on the businesses and the advantage through loans. But he said, what we also have is something called benevolent funds. He said, we have a whole organization with benevolent funds, and they fund us. And then he said, we also get the funds we're coming over here as immigrants. That's how we can open up our own stores. So we get double bits of money, and we don't we participate in politics, but we have to go what the organization back in China tells us how to vote. When we vote, it is specifically directed. It is coming from the group. They are highly organized.
I'm going to tweet, sister, for everybody. And any chance I get, I will tweet Minister Society because Kane is fine ass. But anyway, I digress. But I'll tweet Minister Society and Dr. Claude Anderson and Django when Jamie Foxx is whooping that cracker's ass. But I'm going to tweet right now and exactly what you said. Dr. Claude Anderson said, immigrants come over here and they go past us 200 miles per hour. I can't sound like him, but he gives every bullet point that you just did. They come over here and blah, blah, blah. So I'm going to post this, and I'm going to post where the Ukrainians, see, now we Black Americans, right? So we know what's up. If you're going to tell somebody, I need for you to come help and, get my money back, I need for you to come, strong arm or whatever. For us, we know, well, if your bitch ass can't control your bitches and you need our help, my help, then why would I be loyal to you? And in this Ukrainian clip, it says it right then and there. The Ukrainians was fighting with us against the Germans, with Russia, until we started kicking their ass, and then they switched back over. And then in this clip, it says that the Ukrainian, you talk about OG for Nazis, this is where, this is from the nutsack. This is where these people, the KKK, they want to grow up and be like the Ukrainians. These people ain't no joke. So for Biden to say, I'm going to, pay you the money, I'm going to let you come over here, get you a nice lazy boy chair. If he doesn't think that the Ukrainians are going to say, you know what, I don't like me living in your house, I want your house. So that's going to be the karma, because they are going to realize, America, you ain't the big bully no more. Everybody has been waiting for you to slip up. And now you're looking all thirsty, looking like a hoe at 2 o'clock in the morning, just at everybody's door. Just, people are realizing the bully ain't no bully no more. So I'm going to post these 2 tweets. But y'all, Dr. Claude Anderson just said what that sister just said. They go past us 200 miles an hour because we ain't immigrants. We the real shit on this motherfucker.
They're not doing no more because they don't have the infrastructure. We don't have an infrastructure anymore. We gave it up.
Leon,
They sent away.
Leon, we were the infrastructure. When we were the Industrial Revolution was built off of us. It was built off of us. So when they got rid of, they sent all the give me that damn dog. When they sent all the manufacturing jobs over to China, and I still was trying to figure out what was the deal. What deal was made with China for them to actually end the steel mills, the manufacturing jobs, the car manufacturing jobs, everything that you can think of, we were producing. And we were the workers. What was the deal that they made with China to send the industrial systems over to China? We still ain't ever talked about that.
We know what the deal was.
Why did they destroy Detroit? Why did they destroy Tennessee, Alabama, and Mississippi? And the way they did Oklahoma.
I can tell you that because Jason Bright said it. To keep us from thriving.
Yeah, of course.
They killed themselves. The government killed themselves to keep the black people from thriving, of succeeding in this country, because we were already going that route.
And then turn all the farmers and the landowners into on the census. They re-recorded them as not landowners, but they re-recorded them as laborers. If you
notice, these farmers can't farm.
Yes.
Farmers today can't farm. They use all this fertilizer and all this chemical, and they don't realize all that chemical and fertilizer is doing is killing the soil. And thus, when you kill the soil, you can't use it. You can't grow nothing off of it. It's just a dead waste of land.
Well, now they going after their own white people. They going after the white people that's trying to have their own family gardens and their own homes and stuff. They cracking down on all that.
Okay, let me tell y'all this, family. Keep your eyes on this. The Chinese in some states is trying to prevent it. The Chinese is overwhelmingly purchasing U.S. farmland right now. They own over 300,000 acres of land, and most of them are around our military sites. Let that sink in. There's one state.
They own us. China owns us.
Well, there's one state I cannot remember. I don't want to be misquoted, but there's one state that is proposing that the governor of that state, that particular state, they're proposing a new law where you cannot purchase land unless you are a U.S. citizen. So they're doing kind of what some of them do in Africa. They should be doing it all over Africa.
They're doing that in Canada too. In certain places in Canada where the Chinese specifically are buying up so much property, it's dropping up the prices, and the natives can't even purchase at a market rate. So yeah, everybody's protecting themselves. They're not trying to protect us.
Well, see, they started doing that sneaky shit when the Bitcoins and shit was coming out. I remember an article where the people in Japan, these rich Japanese, had so much money that they weren't able to just do it the normal way. So they started buying shit with the Bitcoins, with the I think it was called the Bitcoins. I mean, we're talking millions and millions of dollars purchasing shit. Yeah, so that's how they originally started sneaking in that shit, because the government was like, "What are you guys doing with all your money? It's decentralized. So you don't know what they're doing with it." But somebody peeped that shit and said, "We got to slow this shit up because they buying everything with this funny money."
They also been doing that in New York City, like early 2000s, if not the late 90s. We were building these big ass sky rises, these like unaffordable penthouses, like just like astronomical numbers. These foreign nationals, they were laundering their money. They were buying these big places. Nobody's living in them. These like ghost skyscrapers going for like millions of dollars. Like literally nobody lives there, but somehow they were washing their money that way. So yeah, there's a lot of moving parts.
That's what they doing, buying land and homes that are laying empty. But it's a cash cow, and there needs to be laws against that. If you do not live in this country, you should not be able to buy land here or property.
Amen to that.
And we need to do something in regards to the whole birthright citizenship. That needs to be reserved only for people who live in the country 365 days a year. And if you don't, then you can have dual citizenship and trade, but you cannot buy land. That's how they do it in Mexico.
Or vote.
Really, it's a business. If you had a store and somebody had money, would you? Of course we would, because we have some souls. But if you were a business and you just wanted to make your overhead, pay your money, and pay your little kids to do whatever, so they can kill you to get the insurance money. But I digress. But if you had a business, are you going to throw anybody out? America is greedy. I don't know how much money they think they need or what they want. They don't see any type of morals. But we know that because when they were doing the detrimental, horrific, inhumane things to us, and our ancestors, we are from them, the same people. Slaves didn't own themselves on this motherfucker in America. So somebody has to have a lineage, ancestry. Our ancestry is noble, kick-ass. You're not going to do that shit to us. We try to do what's right. Well, that's the opposite of them. No matter how much they want to say it was 16,000 years ago, it don't matter. Your family is your family. So they come from that. They can deny it all they want to. They can say they weren't even born. You came from somebody's nutsack. We came from somebody's nutsack, and we're proud of it. We don't lie. We don't have to change history, and the history that we don't change, they don't even fucking bother to tell us about. These tweets and this sister about the Haitians and all the evilness that they didn't even let us know about, because then we could check it against them. Somebody made a comment by saying, why don't white people have White History Month? I'm like, I'm all for it, because then we can bust every bubble of y'all lives.
Exactly. I'm waiting for it. You didn't see me posting that shit. White History Month should consist of all things detrimental that they participated in. Let's go. You want White History Month?
Let's do this.
I want White History Month for you too. Let's do that shit. I'm ready.
Yeah, when they say that though, they just receded the conversation. They just being cynical. Like we literally.
I'm gonna be cynical with them. We gonna be cynical together. How about that shit? We gonna be cynical to motherfucking together. You want White History Month? Tell me what you want in White History Month, and I'm gonna tell you what it actually is written in the motherfucking. Because the only thing you're not erasing is your actual footprint of the fact that y'all destroyed pretty much every land existence you were on. I really believe that they are the aliens. I think they're the aliens that they came from somewhere, and that planet got rid of their asses and let them come here. And their asses are trying to get back to whatever planet they came from, but they didn't want their ass. So now what they trying to do is they trying to leave this motherfucker because they didn't destroy this planet, right? It's on the brink of destruction. So they're like, we need to move to another planet. Why are they the only ones? If you think of it, it's the Asians and the white people are the only ones who are trying to repopulate somewhere else. A whole nother fucking planet.
Riddle me this, Rella. If the only thing that could kill us, which is our kryptonite, right, is the sun, why won't these evil bastards create some type of skin cancer to cure skin cancer? They won't even do that shit for themselves. They won't even fucking do that for themselves. They get
Bill Gates, his plan was to throw. I think that he already did it. He wanted to throw up something into the atmosphere to block out the sun. That was his. I think that's one of his projects. But the problem is that you can't control the power of the sun. So even if he created something to throw up in the atmosphere, it would burn off. It would be burned off by the ozone layer, but it'd also be burned off by the sun.
Yeah, but all they gave him was sunblock. That's as much as they would fucking do to themselves.
If their plan is to go to another, if their plan is to go to another planet, please go. Just go. Yeah, like, really, I'm not fighting it because I'm not trying to go to another planet. I've never lived on another planet. They're always trying to go somewhere else. Just go. We won't miss you.
Our blood. That's why they try to drink our blood and steal body parts.
Right. You got white women putting blood on their fucking faces and shit like vampires. Something's wrong with them.
Blood and like I said, uteruses, get uterus transplant so they can have kids and all kinds of crazy stuff they're doing.
Let them go. I just say let them go. They can't go fast enough for me. They can't move fast enough. Elon, talk about they developing. And for those of you who are buying them goddamn Teslas, get out of them damn cars. Stop buying. I'm not saying we don't need electric cars. That's not what I'm saying. I'm not saying that don't buy it from him. Exactly. First of all, with not being a Tesla, that easily can be actually tapped into by way of their central database. If you in a Tesla and you black, your ass is out. You operating off code because you're putting yourself in a Tesla and you're black. If you're in a Tesla and you're black, I'm saying you operating off code. You putting yourself and family in danger. Get out of them damn Teslas. That I honestly, Leon, I think you hit the head on the nail when they killed off that man at the grocery store, and they made it look like it was just this mass assassination. No, they sending them people. They're sending them people. Give us one of your sons. We'll take care of your entire family. We just need him to go and we need him to take someone out. And I think the target was the security guard who did have the patent for the engine that ran on water. Listen, get out of them damn Teslas. It's not a game.
And the thing about it, Rella, people were making those hydrogen engines for a long time. But when I saw his video, this was still posted after he died. His system was so streamlined. I think it was only like 2 bottles of water. The whole thing was running. 2 bottles of water. Let me repeat. 2 bottles of water. And we ain't talking about 2 big bottles. We ain't talking about gallons. These are probably maybe 2 64-ounce bottles, like sport bottles. That's all was using to run the engine. He had it that streamlined.
We need to, because I don't know. I know he was finishing up his patent, I believe, and I'm not sure if he fully got it completed, but we definitely need more engineers, and we need more people to actually develop and build this stuff, because Google and the rest of the motherfuckers are trying to capitalize off of his work. And yes, he wasn't the first one. There was actually another guy. There was 2 other guys, actually, I believe. But then there's also this African guy. I don't know, Leon, if you saw that guy. He's in hiding because they're trying to kill him. He created a way to run off of electrical currents. You can power a helicopter. You could power a car. You can literally run all of your household appliances just off electrical currents that are around us. And I think
who was the brother that did the purifying of the water? You can make water out of air.
Oh, West. You're talking about West, Dr. West. Moses West, yes. And he's still around. And, they've been trying to sabotage his stuff every chance you get, they're trying to do something to his work. The problem is they don't know how the inner workings go. But for the people who did sabotage the one that was up in Flint that he had to go fix. He stated, and I saw that video, he said it was someone who was an engineer because they knew which gazes and which pipes to flood with metal. He said no regular person, if they were going to destroy the machine, would go into the inner workings of the machine to destroy it the way they he had to go in and fix it. So he knew it had to be someone who already had the knowledge of mechanical engineering for his not necessarily how he built it, but where to go. They just didn't know how to fully destroy it. But again, this is the stuff that we are talking about. So we got to protect him, and he can't be the only one. That's why he's trying to teach his science to the black community. He said that because if something did ever happen to him, someone else has it to keep it going. That has to be our goal. It has to be our goal. And we got to test the waters with each and every one of us because they do infiltrate and they do use a lot of our own people against us by way of promising them something or making them believe that they're doing this for the betterment of, humanity and all of everyone or whatever. Or they've already signed themselves away to, government or something like that. So, man, this is really guerrilla warfare. This is really what this is. And we have to really get our minds wrapped around that. Seriously.
And we got to chant, y'all. That's one of our powers. When we say, I wish a motherfucker would, that is an affirmation. That is a chant. We need to chant everything that is happening to us. When people are being pulled over and hunted down, just like we have no souls. We need to chant to those ancestors who couldn't speak because their tongues were cut out. All of this, every diabolical thing that they're doing to us. Now we need to chant that our ancestors who experienced that they attach to these demons and hunt them day and night. Hunt them day and night in the name of the Father, the Son, and the Holy Ghost, and my pissed off ancestors. I wish you nothing but harm. They can't stop that shit.
Well said.
Oh man, y'all, that was so spirited.
I just realized Black American Homeland, he dipped out. He must have had to go.
Yeah, it looks like he did.
He's here.
No, I'm here, but he's gone.
I was going to answer Sister Strong's question. She mentioned a reference about the state that was using the COVID money for the prisons. That is Mississippi. That was that governor, that female governor there that they put in not long ago. Yeah,
we need to go down there, Leon. We need to go to war with them, Leon.
Well, who, Mississippi?
Yes. Hell yeah. I've always said that Mississippi is a country within a country, and I've always said that shit need to be broken up. I think I saw a video where this older guy was like, Mississippi is a lost cause. No, it's not a lost cause. The people have been beaten up and they tired. They tired because the folks that was there, they left. The revolutionary people have gone. So most of the older people, even the young people are like, we can't win because they literally are trying to restructure the state to turn it into a pretty much another slave moving state. Who tries to pass a bill so that the police department, black officers, can't arrest white people? Huh? White people do that degenerate shit.
Girl, any place where somebody say, you in the mood of Mississippi, and the collective say, hell no, there's a problem. if a state, nobody wants to move to your state, and everybody thinks you're moving where? It says crooked letter for a reason. They fucking crooked.
Yeah, you're crooked.
Don't nobody want to move to Mississippi. Anybody who lives in Mississippi, you looking at them side-eye.
Yeah, but David Banner, people who got money, them motherfuckers, they should have been running for office. They should have been they should be actually getting involved in that way. The other part of the problem is trying to move into some of them white neighborhoods that are fully, they fully vote in somebody like a Tate Reeves. That's going to be tricky because you're going to have to be weapons ready. Because you got to break that shit up. There has to be a way to break that stuff up because, or expand Jackson and the other 2 black cities in Mississippi so that they become a majority base. And you get the white politicians out of there. There's black cities with white politicians who are running them, except for Jackson. So when we look at really how this shit is done, we really have to look at a black majority state who's running. I think Black, you talk about that too. Who's in the positions of those state city councils and all that other stuff. I mean, city councils, in the state.
Okay. Okay. So I guess I'll just say the title again, reset the space for all the people that are here. We're having a robust discussion. Black American Homeland did take off. Not sure if DJ's here. His thing looks like it's been talking the whole time, but not sure if he's in here or not. But America's Babylon, Babel, and Sodom and Gomorrah. And we kind of talked about all the different places, all the different cities in the country that sort of have the spirit of Sodom and Gomorrah and Babylon. I started looking into Babylon, and what's interesting about it, this is where the Sumerian text, Mesopotamia, I guess all of that stuff was from. And so they had 3 classes of citizens in this particular code of law, and this law presets American law, obviously, Roman law, common English law. And so this is like before biblical period, at least the New Testament. It may cross into the Old Testament. I'm trying to match up those dates. But at any rate, there were 3 classes: slave, a middle class, which I've seen depicted as freedman, and then there were just free persons. So that I'm actually kind of interested in trying to see if I can match this up to the other threads that I've done, because what I found, and there's this quote that the Freedmen Party keeps quoting over and over again: the wretched freedmen. And this is why etymology is so interesting, so critical, and to understand where these words come from. Well, in these different languages, the word that they use that was translated as freedman in this one particular place, the word actually means wretched. And so what you end up having is this connection that these people who, in my opinion, study these ancient religions, Freemasonry, whatever, and all these different secret societies, this wisdom and this understanding travels through time. This Sumerian Hammurabi, who was a king at that time, is back like 2,000 years before Christ, I guess, what that BC stands for. So this goes back like 4,000 years. That this middle class of personage was considered wretched. And so this connection, whether intentional or not, has traveled throughout history, almost 3,600 or 3,700 years, whatever the calculation is. And I'm a person who doesn't believe in coincidence at all. So I'm gonna put together this thread and post it, and people can look into it or do whatever they want with it. But I find it very, 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 very interesting. And then I know earlier someone, I think Sister Sean, was talking about the money in New York City for the immigrants. And then that made me start looking into the surplus budget. So in California, I'm gonna start with this one because this one's actually pretty disgusting. We talk about all these issues as well every week. And so we talked about the voting in DC when that story first popped up, post about it. We do try to cover these issues in this space as much as we can whenever we get the information. But in California, we talked about this budget surplus months ago. It was $100 billion budget surplus. Today, it stands at a negative $20 billion deficit. That's $120 billion swing in a matter of months, which is utterly insane. I'm trying to figure out how it occurred. I saw one post that essentially had something to do with the stock market. I don't know if they were investing those funds. I really would like to get to the bottom of that because that's utterly insane. But there are several states with these budget surpluses across the country. Minnesota, $17 billion budget surplus. Florida says they have a massive budget surplus. New York State has a nearly $9 billion budget surplus. North Dakota, uh, Nebraska, South Dakota, Texas, budget surplus. Michigan, budget surplus. So I'm saying all that to say this. We live in some of these states where they have these budget surpluses. This is another state, $7 billion budget surplus. I have to open up the story to see which state it is. This is Wisconsin. We do have population in Wisconsin. So you have the situation where these states have these budget surpluses. I don't know where it's coming from. If it's still COVID relief funds? It could be. I mean, that could be some of it, to be quite honest. I know Pennsylvania had a budget surplus and they were trying to give the money back to the citizens. The Republican legislator was totally against it. They wanted them to give the money to businesses. I don't know what the outcome of it was. I know I didn't get a check. So I'm assuming it didn't go to us. After that election, we got a new governor, so there's no telling what they're going to do with that money. But we're not getting any of the money in these states that we live in that have these budget surpluses. California being one of the largest. They squandered that money somehow, some way. It seems utterly ridiculous. But yeah, I wanted to put that out there so we understand, because we talked about the federal government and their limitations. We are talking about states and how they have way more control over our existence. But even in these situations where they have these budget surpluses, supposedly, they're not planning to spend that money in the Black community. They're not planning to uplift Black neighborhoods or anything of that nature. Sister Sean talked about they used some funds to build prisons. I believe that was Alabama. It could be in some other southern states as well, but I believe that was the one that was highlighted in the newspapers or whatever. So, yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. And then here's Putin. Putin has been giving these addresses. I'm gonna kind of read this quote because it goes with the room title. So he said, "There, and there meaning the Western world, America, NATO countries, they're destroying the institution of family, their cultural, historical identity, and various perversions with regards to children. Priests are forced to recognize and officiate same-sex weddings. The family is a union between man and woman, or woman and man. So he's taking the path of, we are the moral standard for Europe, I guess, Europeans, whatever you want to call it. And so he's trying to make the argument that, they're following the religions, they're conservative, they're a moral nation, blah, 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 et cetera, et cetera. And using that, I guess, to get his people to understand why they got to keep fighting this war. Whatever. There are a few African nations. I have a guy who I interact with. He was a Republic of New Africa member, Black Liberation guy. But he was like, over in Africa, they're totally against it. And I said, nah. If they want that American money, they want that American money or the European money. They gotta let all this stuff go on. This is one of the few. Kenyan president schools the scum of the earth. CNN on wokes, Sodom and Gomorrah. I forget this lady's name. She's always on these programs, but essentially she was trying to push him into same-sex marriages and other things of that nature, and he just basically told him flat out, this is not something we're going to do. This is not something that is going to happen in our country. I think there's like 3 or 4 sub-Saharan African countries that are just absolutely not going to legalize these things, and a few of them have said we don't want America's money if that's what it takes. So you have some of these countries over there that are seemingly starting to stand up to the Western powers, European countries that are trying to force this sexual whatever on their countries, when it either doesn't exist or it exists in very, very small percentages of the population. And they're just not wanting to create this environment where this stuff gets out of hand. The other interesting thing is that over there, I think I was in a space where someone said 75% of the population is under 30. I was either in a back and forth post or in a space. And so that's a very interesting issue in sub-Saharan Africa that doesn't get talked about a lot. The reason is because they've had so many civil wars, so many wars inside those different countries, different conflicts, the jihadists, the Islamists trying to convert the Christians and everything else that goes on over there, is that you have this very young population and you have you have the elders that are likely in the elite class, in the government and the military, and they are just essentially abusing this younger population, these younger populations. Nigeria, they just had that election where you could see soldiers basically throwing election ballots in the dirt and destroying ballots. And there's been a few news reports about the corruption in their elections over there. So I just wanted to kind of throw that out there in terms of what's going on in sub-Saharan Africa, and the fact that they have this very young population. I think that was actually highlighted in the Nigerian elections, the youthful population. That's one of those things where these European countries can continue to exploit the people over there because 75% of the people are so young and don't really have their economic feet under them. They don't have their wisdom under them. And the people, again, likely who have the wisdom, are just looking at it as an opportunity to exploit the situation, exploit their own people, probably because they're of some different ethnicity or whatever, tribe, whatever, however they're set up. So it's just very, very interesting to understand how that's all developing over there. I wonder what they're, because I think they're about 2 or 3 generations in America. I wonder what the age population distribution is over here. It's usually done in like some type of bell graph pyramid. I actually really wonder what their population ages are over here, because their elder populations may actually end up being over here, growing over here, working against us over here, and coordinating, whatever they do over here with the elite powers over there. For issues with the diaspora, at least the African ones. I don't know what's going on in the Caribbean and all of those issues. Other than that, Haiti is a failed state, and you don't even hear. I mean, I don't watch the news. I listen to NPR. I don't see those Haiti reports coming across the timeline of whatever they're going to do, if they're going to invade the country, if they're just going to let it burn. I think the last time I got a report was like a month or so ago down there. Yeah, and to spin back to the California Reparations Task Force. So I just posted a story that said they raised the amount that they are anticipating and or suggesting from that original $200,000 number, which was based on housing, I believe, to this number, which is like a $300,000 number, which I think is close to the Darity number. And I don't know if they are in coordination to get to that number or not, but I know that's very close to the number that he puts out. But Sister Sean, I think she talked about the $5 million in San Francisco. That was a bait number. That there's no financial backing for them to make that a reality in a city. I mean, I know it sounds good. It sounds really, really good, and it gets headlines, and I think that was the intention of it, to be quite honest. I don't know if any actual study went into coming up with that number in particular. I think it just was like they threw out a number that sounded really good, really high, to get a lot of attention. Okay, so yeah, 360,000. This is the quote. After first proposing 220,000 payments last year, I know that was a housing, and I know that the task force said that's not the number. Just wait till we get to the number. The California Reparations Task Force proposed at a meeting Friday that every Black citizen in the state be given a $360,000 check. Now, I didn't get to watch it, so I don't know at what point in time that number got thrown out, and if that's the final number, I can't say with any clarity. This is just in this particular story, this report, whoever was watching it, that's what they gathered from the story. So if you could take that number multiplied times 2 million, which I think is the number of people, in the top of my head, I guess that's in this, 6 trillion, I guess is what the number would be. I guess we could do the math.
Not going to be about just a little under $1 trillion, probably about 750 billion. Because the 235,000 multiplied by 2, it came to under just about 560 billion. So you just adding on pretty much like another 100,000. So it might be about 800 billion, I think, something in that area. Close to $1 trillion for sure. rounded off after taxes and all that other stuff.
Yeah, you got it. 720 billion. You're spot on, spot on. So interestingly enough, he somehow, I don't know, $120 billion is evaporated from the budget surplus in California in a few months, which, oh my God, dear God. But at any rate, they have a large enough economy that even if they had to float municipal bonds or put it in the budget in some way, shape, or form, they could figure out a way to hit that number. I truly do believe that. I'm not concerned about that at all. But interestingly enough, the state does it, and these cities are still going to come up and do their task force, and they come up with numbers. Hey, I'd say the more the merrier, and I don't think you should be limited to one thing or the other. And when the federal government comes, that should be another check, So I say go for all of them. But in the city of San Francisco, that one was just like kind of out there, but whatever. There's no way the city of San Francisco is going to come up with a number that's higher than the whole state of California, if we're just being honest. But yeah, so I don't know if anybody has a thoughts on the number being 360 as the final. Again, not knowing if it's the final number, but being that that's the number that they presented just yesterday.
Yeah, I'm not really sure on that. I haven't had time to look at anything the last couple of days, to be honest with you. But I think if we see our folks saying it, then I guess it's true. It should be more than 235,000. That's for sure, because we already figured it out. That's not even enough to buy a house out in California. You need at least $600,000 to buy a house in California today.
Man.
So even if it is 360,000, that's only half the down payment on the house. And if we're talking this is a housing voucher / reparations or whatever, you ain't even giving me enough to still live in the state. You feel me?
You know what? So I'm gonna talk about that because I bought a house through a forgiveness loan, which essentially what that Evanston, Illinois debacle was, an old housing program where you essentially the money doesn't exist, but you say you're giving this certain amount to the person. They build the houses from the ground up, so they're basically only got their materials and their labor in it. There's no profit in the home necessarily, and you sign a forgiveness loan. Mine's lasted 15 years. As long as you stay in the house for the 15 years, you make your mortgage payments on time, the $60,000 disappears. They've been doing that in this country for a very long time. I actually, for those who want to stay in California, I would actually be okay with them creating, new homes where they.
Hey, you in the matrix, bro.
Oh, damn it. Okay. All right. I'll drop out.
Yeah, it's like an in and out thing. I was trying to hold on, see if it just, fix itself, but now.
Okay. All right. I'll drop in. What I gotta do? Issues people can only speak. Every time it's the same thing, bro.
I did say that earlier, huh? I forgot that they censoring everybody off of that. I want to say this too, DJ. When I hear people use the involuntary or voluntary immigrant terms, I was watching a video of people from other African countries, Caribbean countries, talking about how now that, you know, Black Americans, American descendants are delineating and we are identifying ourselves, you know, in public and in the face of our own country, that we are somehow being xenophobic. And I want to start to put the narrative out there. It is not xenophobic to represent your native land, your identity, and how you represent and see yourself. Within that does not mean that we have to always invoke other groups of people because we are amalgamation. I think people want to call us immigrants for the sake of historical reference, not realizing we actually aren't immigrants. The descendants aren't immigrants. Immigration means that you came here and you had to seek citizenship. Our ancestors had already gone through those eras and years of time when they were enslaved or free people who had to go through the democracy as it was being developed in this country that is our country. The descendants that are speaking are not immigrants. And I need us to get that through our skulls so that way that people who do come here can stop running down the street with this narrative of you melanated, I'm melanated. We need to all band together because we all somehow were immigrants. No. You're an immigrant. If I were to carry my ass over to another country to do business or to set up shop, or to whatever, I then become an immigrant, or I have migrated or immigrated into this country that I have no citizenship in. I have to seek citizenship. I got to go through paperwork. I have to, you know, go through their democratic or their, you know, whatever their country process is in the when it comes to how their government is set up. So here in my country, my motherland, coming out of my mother's womb, her mother and her mother's mother and her mother's mother and her mother's mother, I can go back 6-7 generations and probably further as I'm doing my own genealogy work to state that the work was already done. If you want to have the immigration conversation with my ancestral lineage, I can walk that line down and I can come back to say, well, that shit was already paid for. I'm not an immigrant. Maybe you are and you don't like that, but I'm not. And I'll land.
Natives to the motherfucker, man.
Word. Hey, Black, you can send the call spot again. I had to switch phones. But nah, you're right, Rella. That's why we say tether gang, tether room.
Natives. Oh yeah, facts. We the natives in this motherfucking man, and really, you know, even though you know I know that there's some native heritage in my family somewhere, somehow, some way. Man, fuck the natives, bro. On some real shit. Like every time I have a conversation with them, they always on the bullshit. Period. So we the natives.
And you know what? I can appreciate all of the things that make up my family tree. But you can't sit there and try to put me in a box because somehow you want to, you know, invoke or invite yourself into the house and you the guest trying to come into my kitchen and cook. No, you the guest. So that means you need to sit down and wait to be served. You're the guest. And then you know, we break bread or however, whatever happens, and you leave and go back to wherever it is, you know, wherever it is we were. Or you establish your own self because that's what's happening. That's why you have all these different groups creating organizations that they don't even allow Black Americans to be involved in or to actually head or be in any type of positions on the council at all.
So we were in a space, and Miss Relly, I think you brought the brother's name up. His picture finally circulated. I want to say his name is Khalil. I'm actually have to find that story, man.
Yeah, Khalil Azad.
Khalil Azad, man. Rest in peace to that black man. The story is horrific. The way it occurred is horrific. It's at the hands of the police. Oh man, because like he has similar features as people in my family. That's the first thing I noticed. Like, damn, man, this dude, like, he could have been a cousin or something. And man, what a tragedy. So my initial reaction was the name looked a little foreign, ethnic, whatever the case may be. But then, it reminds me that my grandfather, who I did meet, I didn't meet my, no, I take it back. That was my great grandfather. I didn't meet my grandfather. He died I think he died from a heart attack before I was either old enough to acknowledge who he was or whatever. But my great grandfather, he changed our family name from the slave name, as they say, to a Muslim name because he was a Muslim. And so it's a name that would look similar to this black man who was seemingly executed. And so that's an interesting dynamic as we are into this delineation. There were the Black liberation movement of Black Americans who did change their last names. That's the same thing that's going on with the mayor in Mississippi. His father changed their last name to an ethnic sounding name. And so there are going to be, and matter of fact, a lot of my, a few of my great aunts and uncles still have. I mean, those are their names. They're ethnic names. They're Muslim sounding names. So, man, sometimes I guess we got to take a second. Me myself, I'm gonna have to train myself to pause and try to look a little bit deeper. When the name first popped up, there weren't pictures. That image is such a frightening image that it is one of those things that even a quick glance, it's burned into your brain. You can't get that image out. And my goodness, man, it's like, dear God.
Nah, I feel you, brother. I actually got the same situation with my great aunt and great uncle, Barbara and John. They got rid of their slave name and converted to Islam and went through the court system and had their last name legally changed. So, and whatever the name, rather, Islamic name that my uncle changed his name to, my mother named me after him because she liked the name so much. So, that's how I wound up getting my Islamic name, but I got a country ass last name though. See what I'm saying? So it's like, hey, I'm confused and shit. You know what I'm saying? That's the way I be looking at it. This shit, motherfucker, confused as hell, yo. No lie.
Yeah, because when we have family reunions, matter of fact, one of the last family reunion shirts we had, and I guess the colors are green and white, but it was under that, that Muslim name. And so it just is what it is. You know what I mean? Like, I guess again, whenever I hear about these situations, I'm gonna just have to take the time to look a little bit deeper, understand who it actually is, and then kind of go from there. But man, that to me, of all of these killings, to be honest, that is one of the worst. That is one of the worst. And you got Miss Rella, you got it. If that's you there.
I think that it was just So when I was listening to the aunt tell the story, and they were talking about how he wouldn't have hurt anybody, and the details when they were actually trying to view his body and come and see what had happened to him, they still haven't gotten the reports back, and how even the labs, they worked with the labs and and I want to put this out there. These laboratories, people who are actually supposed to be doing the autopsies of bodies for our people who are actually assaulted and essentially unalived by domestic terrorists under oath, they work in tandem to not even reveal all of the findings in the autopsies. And with him, the district attorney, I believe, tried to say that there was no visible signs of assault on his body. But when you look at the pictures, he has bite marks on him from the dogs that was sicked on him as he was beaten. His head was beaten in, so that when the body went into, excuse me for being so vulgar or detailed, in the picture, rigor mortis, you saw the brutality of how his body responded and when it swelled. And so these are devils. He was over 6 feet. The body of water he was found in was less than 5 feet or 3 feet. He could have stood up in the water. Even if he had went into the water, it was not enough water to drown him. But yet it was listed as a drowning. That means someone had to hold him underwater, or they murdered him, or they killed him and they threw him in the water, but because he succumbed to his injuries because he was too badly beaten. So, yeah, I land there.
One thing I know about that situation is this: if there is water in his lungs, then yeah, they held him underwater. If there's no water in his lungs, then that means he was killed before being placed in the water. So the family, hopefully they'll have an independent autopsy done, and they can kind of get that information, because that would be either one way or the other. Because I saw that same information about the shallowness of the water, and they said that he could swim. He was a swimmer, so that kind of rules that out altogether to me. Tim's. Slims, man, bro. Do you know what state that was in? Like what area of the country?
I want to say, was that Minnesota?
Oh God!
Let me look.
I think you're right. I think
it was Minnesota.
Yeah, because I thought of the Reverend up there when yeah, not only that, because I think we talked about it, because there's that Somali population in that general area. So yeah, that's probably what it was. Some little town.
It's Minnesota. It was the Hennepin County. Mm-hmm. So the Hennepin County medical examiner ruled his body.
Oh God.
Says medical examiner ruled his death an accidental drowning.
Yeah, now so here's what's interesting, right? The Department of Justice should immediately investigate. They should immediately go in, investigate, secure the remains, do an autopsy.
Mm-hmm.
The family should get an independent autopsy, and they should arrest and charge this medical examiner, but they likely won't. They likely won't. Man, this is where this is the part where, to be quite honest, even with the one state, and for me, some of these situations that don't involve death, I think can be dealt with, through organizations and protesting, whatever, whatever the historical thing was that we've done. But situations like this, I believe, need Black majority state senators and U.S. reps and governors, a governor alliance that can. Oh, damn it! Is the mic? Is it still bad? Oh man, I just came in and out. Let me switch. I'm gonna turn social on, and then see if I can talk through that one and see if it'll be better. Sometimes it does. Let's see. Invite to speak. Okay. Okay. All right. I'm gonna turn one up, turn the other one down. Okay. How's that? Is that a little bit better? Once I get the echo out. Okay. All right. All right. Figured it out. Okay. Hopefully this one's better. My bad. Yeah, so I think I was going into how the examiner won't get charged, but oh yeah. So Black majority state senator, U.S. reps. This would be one of those times, and again, a governor's alliance. If you got even just Delaware, Mississippi, where you use whatever political capital that you have to not just force, because I don't want to keep using that word, but that you make it so that the Department of Justice is put on notice that they need to bring all of their tools and all of their authority to that case, specifically cases that involve the death of Black American citizens. Like I said, in other areas where an organization can step in, or people can work them out, you can provide assistance and things of that nature. But something like this, I think, really does need that, and it needs like that instant knock on the president's door, or whatever you want to call it, and say, look, I don't care what's going on, we need to address this situation. This needs to be dealt with, and work to put in legislation within the DOJ and the Civil Rights Department. I believe it was created for us, that we regain control over federal assets such as the Department of Justice Civil Rights Division, so that we have oversight, and no matter who's the president, to be quite honest, that either through a Black caucus, which is a Black majority caucus, or some other embedded organization at the federal level, that we can have direct influence, if not direct management over some of these assets. And that would be one. And in situations like this, we should absolutely be able to pick up the phone, talk to the director, and then they send a team out, like within 24 hours, they're on the ground. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, because it, in my opinion, it really, really, really is unfortunate that the family has to cry out to the news media, and then the news media is very reluctant to pick up on these stories. Then the community has to get involved, and then they got to make a huge fuss. And you know, and it's like the same cycle over and over and over and over again, just to get not even what I would consider justice, but just to get a minuscule of attention on situations that should never, ever, ever occur. It's just devastating, man. I pray for the family. I feel so bad. I can't imagine what I would do if you know, this had anything to do with someone I really cared about. So I just hope and pray that we can, like you said, Miss Rella, about the California Reparations Task Force, how they're showing us how important the state is. I just hope that enough of us really, really get that and really, really understand it and really, really appreciate it and are willing to make the sacrifice necessary. You know, I'm not tearing apart the state of Delaware, but I'm examining it and I'm analyzing it. And what I've come to understand is in Newcastle County, which is where Wilmington is at, there are 10 incorporated cities and then a bunch of other little towns. But the majority of Newcastle County, which is where Wilmington is at, is controlled by the county. It's essentially county government and county police, even though they have a state police force and they have all these little municipalities. For the most part, looking at that map, it's probably 60 to 70% county controlled, which is interesting, which means that and to be honest, those are areas where there's not necessarily a high population. So I think in this particular county, and maybe the other ones are the same, once you get a city like Wilmington, because the way where I'm looking at all the other cities. There's one that has like 30% Black American population, but they also have like 20-30% Mexican or Hispanic population, 40% white. And then there's one that has like 20, 22, 25, something like that, Black. All the other ones have like maybe 10% Hispanic or less. And then you have Wilmington, which is almost 60% Black. It's the biggest city. It's got the majority Black population already there, already on the ground. And so it's kind of a no-brainer to focus in on the city of Wilmington. That's where the county seat is at. That's the biggest city in the state. Like I said, the council. I looked at the council. It's a majority Black Americans on the city council. So it's just like a no-brainer that's where I need to be, and that's where the focus needs to be. And you got to convince these people there of why we have to do what I'm advocating for. But you can probably, once you can build or once you can attract builders, instead of focusing on those little municipalities, in my opinion, is just focus on the county. Like, get the big city and then focus on the county. Buy up some of that land that's kind of in the middle of nowhere. And if we're going to build in the county, and that way we can just take over the county, get the big city, then get the county. And then try to repeat that in Dover and Kent, because it's the same thing. They got a few cities that are incorporated, and then they got all this empty land, which is likely controlled by the county as well. So I think that's the smartest way to look at this particular state. And I would love it if we already had 2 senators to call, you know, that we all, I mean, and when I say we all, those who are responsible, who are working, you know, they have some office that you can call and you talk to the secretary and then they forward the message or whatever, you know, that type of thing. But that they would be responsive to our population, and they would look at a situation like that and simply say, well, let me see what I can do. And then they actively make something happen. I just feel like everything else that we've tried to do in the past has led us up to this moment. And if we don't take advantage of this point in time and we just kind of continue to do the same things that we always have been doing, and I think it's this belief that the people in the past didn't. But the reality of the thing is the people in the past, Reconstruction, they accomplished their goal. They were betrayed. I'll use that word. But the goals that they set out to accomplish, they actually did accomplish those goals. The self-emancipators, the contrabands, they emancipated 4 million Black Americans. They fought in that war. They forced Reconstruction. They reached those goals. Civil rights movement. They had goals. They reached their goals. They got the legislation that they wanted. And so I don't think it's wise to think that we can do something better than them, and or if we just do it harder, or if we just do it smarter or whatever, that it's going to be a different outcome. I think it's just doing the same thing over and over and over again and not ever actually going to get a different outcome. I think we need something that's so radical and so different to produce a radically different result. Yeah, and I just don't understand the hesitation at this point, because I'm extremely patient and whatever. But I don't understand the hesitation at all. I know people are comfortable. They grew up in a certain area. They went to this high school. They know whatever, this, that, and the other, all these memories, attachment. For Black Americans living in Minnesota, Wisconsin, Kentucky, Ohio, Pennsylvania, Indiana, Kansas City, or Kansas rather, Missouri, like all of these states, it just it's I just don't understand it. We got people living in Idaho and Utah. I just don't get it. I don't understand it. So I get the Southeast, obviously. Southwest, that was our attempt at the Great Frontier to get as far away from these people as we physically could, get away from them. Unfortunately, wherever they go, wherever they are, there is everything that they are, the sociopathic nature of who they are. And that's never going to change. And the only real hedge against it is to have control over everything as the majority. Anything short of that to me is not comprehensive enough. It's not sustainable. It's temporary at best. And because everything is accelerating, I would suspect that, whatever we do as a minority, their attacks on it will accelerate just as fast, just as quickly. And so I'm praying that whatever these state and local reparations, the legislation ultimately comes out to be permanence in whatever way, shape, or form that has to look like, that they really focus on creating permanence in really unless so here's what's interesting, right? The only way you create permanence in this country is you create an amendment to the Constitution. And so if I was on any of these state-based reparations platforms and I was looking to create some bureaucracy, I would want an amendment to the state constitution. And really not anything less than that. Because 50 years down the road, I just don't see what there is to prevent them from dismantling everything that we've worked so hard for today, whatever that is. And that's the unfortunate reality of the situation that we're in. You gain control over the state, you rewrite the Constitution, you codify Black American descendants in the state constitution, and you want to get rid of qualified immunity, you just get rid of qualified immunity. There's no real conversation. You do the back and forth with the legislators, negotiating whatever, blah blah blah, the wording. But essentially, you want to get rid of it, you get rid of it. You write that into the Constitution if that's what you feel needs to be done. To me, it's very simple and very clear, but I don't know. For a lot of people, it seems to still be let's fight against these people, and not let's take over their system, and then we don't got to fight them anymore. To me, that's just, I don't know.
Definitely agree with you, brother, for sure on that. So, at the end of the day, I think we understand what our problems is, and I think we understand what the solution is. So now the only thing is left to do is to build up the army. You know what I'm saying? So how can we get our folks more on the speed as far as like understanding the Black state? I know I talk the promo game shit, but it ain't enough at the end of the day, because you got to constantly hit each individual one at a time and like really break down the rhetoric. So what would be a way in your mind that you think that, we could speed up our Black state of America and get things on the ball rolling, to whether it be, going down to Delaware or plucking one Black person out of majority of the West Coast, Midwest, Southern Texas area or whatever, and try to push it back more East Coast? What ideas that you think that we could use to ramp up our particular cause?
I think the most powerful answer to that question is Dr. Claude Anderson. When Mel was doing her book reading, she said, the only Mel Cruz. When she doing her book reading, she said, "You know what? This everything he's saying is reminding me of what you're talking about." And like, I really never connected those dots, but I've been seeing a few of his videos, like short interviews, come across the timeline, and she's spot on. Like, everything he's saying, to be quite honest, is begging for this solution. I don't know if he's ever articulated, because he kind of says, this is what's happening, this is what's happening, this is what's happening. You need to recognize what's happening. And I don't know if he ever lays out the solution to what's happening in a way that I could say, oh yeah, he's talking about Black majority states. But I believe everything he's saying is actually talking about creating Black majority states as the ultimate solution to all of the problems that he lays out.
So he actually does. So Black Labor White Wealth is just one of the series of Powernomics books. And if you actually go, I think the whole entire catalog, I think it's like $70 if you want to get the other books. And there also is a video on C-SPAN. If you guys want to check out the video on C-SPAN, where I think it was in 1994, maybe. Was it 1994? Maybe 1992. But you can go research the video with John Conyers, where Dr. Claude Anderson clearly also testifies on the panel when John Conyers was alive, when they were first establishing the reparations committee and trying to do it on a government level prior to his passing. And Dr. Claude Anderson was one of the panelists in this group, and he did testify. He talks about the levels of the building and how it's structured and the comprehensive plan. And it definitely does talk about, or it is structured in like a Black majority state, but he doesn't say Black majority state. He talks about how to actually structure yourself. And so you
want me to play it?
Oh, you found it?
Come on! Who the YouTube king? Me or you?
Okay, you got it. But you got the juice now.
Like a ninja with these videos. Take this link. Take that link. But no, actually, I've been doing this for a while, brother. As far as like getting content like this. So if you go over on my page on the ScrewTube, I got a playlist called Black Economic Growth, and it got 499 videos in there. And I don't want to put it at 500 because I just leave it like that. But I made a second one, Black Economic Growth Part 2, and DJ Seg 1 playlist. My profile is open to the public, and there's a bunch of other playlists in there that you might like or whatever, music-wise to technical stuff. So with that being said, and some of those videos are featuring your boy. So yeah, get over there, Black Economic Growth, and I also got it on Pinterest too. But it's pretty much the same videos that I'm just pinning to Pinterest from YouTube or whatever. But give me a minute, I'll find it though. Give me a minute though. Matter of fact, what we could listen to just for so I'll actually find that video. Sister, the reparationist perspective, she plays one of Dr. Claude Anderson's sermons or I'll call it go off moments. He going to fuck off and shit. So every time you listen to one of Angela's Spaces, that's the first thing you're gonna hear. It's the theme music or whatever. So it's really a message that's going to get drilled in your head to the point something. We got to move right now, like literally right now. So we can listen to that just a quick second, you know what I mean? And then I'll try to find out the video while we're listening to that.
We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 86 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2.
Oh, what happened? Hold on. My bad. What the hell just happened? What the hell just happened? What the hell, Smokey? Mm-hmm. Hold up. What the hell, Smokey? What the hell? What the hell? Okay, let's run that back.
We anticipate in the next 10 to 12 years, approximately 86 million Hispanics coming into the United States and 41 million Asians. You have been the majority minority for 400 years in this country. You have been the number 2 population for 400 years. You're going to get kicked out of being number 2. You're going to go down and become number 4. Now, common sense, you got such a great education. If you didn't get anything with your number 2, you're going to come to me, but anyway, you can guess what you're going to get to become number 4. Do you support reparations? Number one, Greece was a country God because we've been able to cherry pick every single thing. The people who come here have determination, resilience. They are ready to stand up and work like the devil. We have 2,400 children in our school today is Hispanic. The idea that we are going to walk away and not provide every opportunity for them is not only stupid and immoral, but it's bad for America. They are the future of America. To give the Negro in the land. During the act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest. Not that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with economic law. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges. Government money keeps them out of law. This is what we are faced with. And this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington, in this campaign, we are coming to get our checks. We are owed $104 trillion on the very low end. $735 billion recurring. This number does not include the cost of about 50 Black Wall Streets that were decimated, nor compound interest from 2017 when Sean D. Rochester's book, The Black Tax, was published, nor the cost of Black life, nor the cost of living increases, nor the war on drugs, nor the current day pandemic. The number I'm working with is for slavery, Jim Crow, and the ongoing systemic racism, oppression, and disadvantage in the country our ancestors built with their lives. All right. So hold up. Stop that right there real quick.
Hey, you know what? That Joe Biden.
Check your DMG there. What'd you say?
That Joe Biden clip where he says, and he's angry. I just found it wasn't a debate, but he says Hispanics are the future of the country. Like, get over it. Like, forget about it. Like, you know what I mean? Blah 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 blah.
Yeah, he said that. You better learn how to work with these people. That's what he told Charlemagne. Better learn how to work with these people. Pull yourself up by the bootstraps and all of that stuff. You know
that's why I said white Americans, especially Joe Biden. The Bidens are they were a slave owning family, and again, I believe Biden is a German name. I have to look that shit up. But he at his old age, I believe that he no longer has the capacity to control his, the supremacy in him. So all that shit is coming out. That's why he made that comment, you ain't back enough, you don't vote for me, and all this other stuff. Those are all dog whistle slave tactics. I mean, slave calling tactics.
When his friend died, the one who mentored him, he was a known freaking racist, and he just broke down and cried. Remember?
Strong Thurman was a grand wizard, and I believe he also slept with his nanny. Somehow he had a baby by this black woman that he was claiming that was just his maid or some shit. It was crazy, and he was trying to claim the child wasn't his, but
it sounds like Hunter's deal. Hunter had a stripper pregnant and took her to court and told the judge he did not want that hooker, the baby, which is his kid, to have the Biden's last name. He said he did it out of respect for the child, not to be associated. Well, I can understand that. Your daddy a crackhead and your father's a petty, but your grandpappy's a petty. But he told the judge, I don't want the stripper's baby, who is his, to have his last name. They some scandalous ass people.
Hey, let me play this clip. It's 16 seconds. It's from September.
Got the echo.
Okay. I don't know how I'm gonna stop that. Let's see if we can do it anyway. Here we go.
We better darn well make sure they have every opportunity they have. He'll tell you how it helped to safely reopen our schools an absolute necessity, including 28% of public school students who are Latino. 28%. You're all going to own the country, man. We better darn well make sure they have every opportunity they have. He'll tell you how it helped to safely reopen.
So he says in that clip from September, oh my goodness, that Hispanics are 28% of the public schools. They are going to own this country. We better make sure they have everything. And then it kind of clips there, but likely everything they need in order to own the country. This is the president of the United States.
I didn't vote for that. I ain't vote for him. He ain't getting out of red. He ain't getting out a pin stroke of a nothing. Not even a dot towards his name. And like I said, the whole Divine Nine and the rest of the people who championed, well, you know, it was between him and Trump. Like, I get it. Trump was definitely going to sell us to the Russians for, you know, they didn't even give a shit about the highest or lowest bidder. Trump was definitely going to try to sell us out to the damn Russians. However, Biden ass is literally about to let the Viva La Raza come and give it to us without any gasoline. And I'm sorry. I'm a fighter, so we got work to do.
I put Biden's speech with his boy Thurman, and if you remember when Hunter was smoking his crack and pleasuring himself in a water tube thing, the piece of crack that his son was puffing off of was much smaller than what he held up in this Senate hearing. I asked GJ to play it. The tone of his voice, he was like salivating, like, we got our slaves under control. We got a way to keep them on the plantation. We're just gonna put it with the P. We're gonna call it prison. He looks like he's about to just jump out of his skin in happiness. The way that he's talking about the crack sentencing.
God.
Yeah, Hunter Biden's on crack rock. Hunter Biden smoking crack.
And maybe DJ will play it for her because I gave it to him.
Damn.
Which one is that, baby sister?
It's the one I put in your DM, and I also just tweeted it for everybody else to see it in case they're not on the space.
Yeah, go ahead and cue up the Dr. Claude Anderson and then play that one, the Hunter Biden one.
Shit, I think we should listen to the Biden shit first, because just going on, because I know what both of them are. I think we should listen to the Biden shit first, because that Dr. Claude Anderson, that shit gonna hit. Go pop a bottle of wine, yo, and roll some smoke up. We about to be listening to the videos for about an hour.
Pop a cracker or pop a bottle of wine. Shit.
Make your choice. You can get with this, or you can get with that.
I picked the cracker. I picked the cracker.
All right, hold on 1 second, y'all.
Damn, what is that? What is that? What the fuck is that? Oh my God, man. Miss Rella, what's that story about the 12-year-old, the father?
They flipped the car. So the police officer pulled this family over, and they don't even understand why he pulled this family over. And he starts to, of course, accost the family, and I think he sprays into the car with mace or something like that. So the dad pulls off. The dad drives off because he's like, you ain't about to kill me and my family. And the police officers chasing them, and he's on with dispatch, and the father was on with dispatch, letting dispatch know they have kids in the car. They're not sure what's going on with this cop, and they, they need help. He's telling the dispatcher they have kids in the car. You hear the police officer say, "I'm about to flip the car."
Wow.
Or they're gonna be in a ditch if they don't stop. And he actually, I guess he bumps the back tail in, fishtails the car. They flip, and his son is killed.
Wow.
His 12-year-old is killed instantly.
I'm locked up. That's it.
And so,
I'm locked up.
Yeah.
Well. You know what? I do remember. I do recognize that story. I never saw him speak. Damn, man. You know, I'm locked up. So, just no. That's not. I'm sorry. I just can't.
Well, I got money for your books. It's okay.
Yeah, because I'm not.
And I got an alibi.
I got a place for you to get low.
Get low, man. I look. I can live in a closet. I can live in a closet.
I got 5 passports. I'm never going to jail.
Yeah, man. Oh my God. Well.
I honestly, I'd have to be like Chris Dorner on that one. I can't. You know, I'd go to my hearing and everything, and then and I would be trying to be like getting things set up for the rest of my kids, and I'm off to the races trying to find any and everybody that will participate in allowing this piece of shit to even still breathe, not even being locked up. Sometimes it's like we can't seem to get justice right away. But the ones that can actually institute street justice need to be a little bit more vocal in their movements.
Yeah.
Like, I do believe that George Zimmerman should not be walking around freely. Honestly, for the people who, again, are about that life and want to, freely use weapons and stuff, George Zimmerman should have been the mission on from day one. The moment he got off trial. The moment
if you are going to go to jail for some shit that a cop strategically put on you and you couldn't get out of it, and your lawyer was just a punk ass, if you knew that you were going in, that type of brother and sister, what do you got to lose? Follow these bitches home. They got to go to the grocery store. They got to leave work. This shit ain't no rocket science. Catch these people slipping. If you knew you going to jail, if you know you got cancer because of all the medical atrocities and shit, if you knew you got a card to play, you got to twist that shit back. So if anybody is listening, earshot, if something is fucked up in your life and you know you're going to jail or you know you're about to die, do us a solid.
Sometimes I see comparisons between the Palestinians and Black America in certain political circles. They like to make those comparisons. The unfortunate fact is they have a clear, defined enemy. They recognize it and they do fight back. For whatever reason, and part of it is the people who used to greenlight those situations, they're incarcerated or they no longer exist. And those, for whatever reason, those soldiers, if you will, have not been raised up. And so we have a situation where there's just this huge gap, this massive gap. And they know it because they don't suffer any consequences. The reality is half the police force they're either white nationalist, they're involved in biker gangs. I think, matter of fact, in that story, now that I think about it, that Minnesota story, the biker gangs became a part of it because I think whoever wrote this long story about it said that either one or two of the officers are active members of some nationwide, if not global, motorcycle gang. And so that's my real life experience. So I already know. And so if nobody knows about motorcycle culture, they're as racist as any other white nationalist organization. Most of them are segregated, like completely segregated. The few that are do intermix, they kind of, or they don't have any real clout or power within that world, to be honest. And they all kind of work together. That's what happened to me, because the white legacy gangs pretty much control the whole country. And unfortunately, the black motorcycle gangs don't really have a whole lot of authority, because the white gangs are either military or active duty police officers. It's just, the shit is fucking insane. But this is the shit that we live with. This is why they can flood the country with drugs and guns and everything else. They're the people doing it. Man, we're yeah, goodness.
If drugs can get in prisons, that should say something.
The guards, I've had family members incarcerated. They try to sneak in, they try to do the thing. They try to set up their own shop, and the guards shut that shit down, because they're the ones they're not going to have competition in their own court. The guards are the ones bringing it in. Matter of fact, when I visited my bro in this one local jail, one of the bikers who was involved in my incident was a fucking guard. And I'm on the visit, and because you don't forget faces, and I don't forget faces. I might forget names, but I'm not going to forget a face. And I'm like, holy fuck, you know what I mean? But I got to just poker face it up, because I'm walking in the belly of the beast trying to visit my bro, and I don't want whatever occurred in that incident to negatively affect him, because this fucking douchebag is a guard. I mean, that's the situation, man. It's real.
Yeah, and you saw how the Buffalo shooter, how they protected him in the courtroom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did anybody peep that?
Oh,
So his attorney, everybody, they were protecting him, of course, in the courtroom. But they were guarding him like you've never seen them guard any type of defendant the way they was guarding him. Mm-hmm. Any type of murder suspect in any other case, you've never seen them do that.
They were likely telling that boy, we got you, we got your back, in the transports to and from whatever, blah blah blah. They likely let him know.
It's the same with what was the young boy, the young white
Cal Rittenhouse. Yeah.
Rittenhouse, and the other one that the South Carolina shooter down in when they killed the politician that was the pastor of the church.
Yeah, what is his name?
In South Carolina.
He go off the steeple.
He was actually going to run for office, I believe, and they had him murdered.
Wow.
So when we look at these instances, and they drove that boy to Burger King.
Wow.
They took him to Burger King. The feds did. The federal agents who were transporting him took his ass to Burger King to feed him.
Now notice what you said, and notice what level of government they were from. Yeah. Ain't no protection from the federal government in this motherfucker, man. Ain't no protection from the feds. Man. Motherfuckers.
That's real.
Motherfuckers, man.
That's real.
Talking about Darren Wolf.
No, that's not his name.
Yep, there you go, Darren Wolf, but when you look at all these instances, even Derek Chauvin, yes, and Derek Chauvin, that murdered, that killed George Floyd, and then also the cop that killed Michael Brown. They put them under protective custody.
Peter Liang, the cop that killed Kai Gurley in New York, yo. He was the Asian cop, Peter Liang, and the whole AAPI community protected him, and he got off.
Yeah, so we definitely need to get it together as far as infrastructure goes, and as far as our community, and we need to really start having conversations, even with the the heads of these gangs. They're gonna have to be involved in the conversation. Like, either y'all gonna have to start becoming our protection.
They puppets, man. They puppets.
We're gonna have to have our own delineation, and those of you who are gun ready, soldier ready, you're gonna have to either go to war with your own people, or they're gonna have to get on the boat, get on the train, because we don't have time to sit around having to be worried about them trying to shoot up the fucking neighborhoods, taking kids and innocent people out, while you got police officers doing unnecessary shooting, trying to pin shit on them, and we have no protection. So, I mean,
what the fuck?
It's real. It's real in the real streets, and people have to get ready. You have to be prepared. It's not no joke. Women need to get your 2A up. Shit, everybody need to get their 2A up. You need to start doing tactical training. 14A, and then you need to also learn first aid, wound care, and get medically cleared to help with wounds and stuff. So it is what it is.
All right, y'all. Let's get into the visuals and the audios. But let's look at the facts.
Okay, thank you, YouTube. We're gonna cut it early.
Congress has passed over 230 new or expanded penalties for drug and criminal offenses.
See you next week.
United States.
Social, SOXCIAL.com.
These penalties range from an automatic
social.com,
5 years in jail,
blackstateofamerica.com, blackstateofamerica.com.
Crack cocaine. Piece of crack cocaine.
Follow me on Twitter at Gray King Black State.
What one looks like. Yeah, I do have a quarter.
And
if you have
thanks for coming out. Appreciate you. We are broadcasting live on social for a few hours before we switch over to the YouTube live.
We passed the law through the leadership
and
of Senator
we're just going to keep
Thurman
building up social, keep building up Black State of America, and become the majority that we were destined to be. Peace.
You get no probation. You get nothing.